වෙළඳාමට එරෙහි ජාත්‍යන්තර දිනේදී එනම් අද දිනේ ජූලි 30 වනදා තැනැත්තන් වෙළඳාම පිළිබඳව දැනුවත් වෙමින් එයට එරෙහි වෙමින් නැගී සිටින්නට අපට මනුෂ්‍යත්වයේ නාමයෙන් වගකීමක් තිබෙන බව මතක් කර ගන්නට මේ හොඳම අවස්ථාව. තැනැත්තන් වෙළඳාම එසේත් නැතිනම් මිනිස් වෙළඳාම අදමෙන් පුරවැසි අයිතිවාසිකම් සහ නීති අනපනත් නොතිබූ යුගවල සිදුවක්. බලය ඇති පිරිස් විසින් බලය අහිමි පිරිස් තමන්ගේ සුඛ විහරණය වෙනුවෙන් පාවිච්චි කිරීම එදා සිට සිදුවක්. ඔවුන්ගේ මූලික අවශ්‍යතා පවා නොසලකා හරිමින් ඊටම අමානුෂික ලෙස ඔවුන්ගේ ශ්‍රමය සූරා කෑමට ලක් කළා. ඒ අනුව බොහෝ විට නූතන වහල් භාවය ලෙස හඳුන්වන මෙම අපරාධය ජාතිය ආගම කුලය පන්තිය හෝ ස්ත්‍රී පුරුෂ භාවය නොතකා බලහත්කාරයෙන් ශ්‍රමය සහ ලිංගික සූරා කෑම සඳහා කාන්තාවන් පිරිමින් සහ ළමුන් යොදා ගන්නවා. පසුකාලීනව පුරවැසි අයිතිවාසිකම් නීතිගත වූ සමාජ රාමුවක් තුල තැනැත්තන් වෙළඳාමට අදාළ යම් ප්‍රවණතා අවම වෙමින් පැවතුණා. එහෙත් කොවිඩ් වසංගතය සමග ඇති වූ සමාජ සහ ආර්ථික පීඩනය හමුවේ විශේෂයෙන්ම ශ්‍රී ලංකාව වැනි රටවල දේශීය රැකියා වෙළඳපොලේ පවතින හිඟකම හේතුවෙන් බොහෝ පිරිස් විදේශ රැකියා සඳහා යොමු වීමේ ප්‍රවණතාවක් ඇති වෙමින් පවතිනවා. මෙම අවස්ථාවෙන් ප්‍රයෝජන ගන්නා වංචනික පුද්ගලයන් විසින් මිනිසුන් සූරා කෑමට ලක් කරමින් අතරමං කරමින් සහ එතනින් නොනැවතී මානව ගරුත්වයට නොගැලපෙන ක්‍රියා වෙත බලහත්කාරයෙන් යොමු කරමින් සිටිනවා. ශ්‍රී ලංකාව මිනිස් වෙළඳාම සඳහා මූලාශ්‍රයක්, తాවකාලික නැවතුමක් සහ ගමනාන්තයක් ලෙස වාර්තා වී තිබීම ඊටාම කනගාටුදායක කරුණක්. මෙම අපරාධකරුවන් නීතියට යටත් කර ගැනීම තරමක් අභියෝගාත්මක විය හැක්කේ ඔවුන් තම ඉලක්ක සඳහා නව උපක්‍රමවලට අනුගත වන බැවින්. නමුත් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු සුන් කරගත යුතු නැහැ. අපට එක්ව මිනිස් ජාවාරමට එරෙහිව සටන් කළ හැකි. ඒ සඳහා රජය, සිවිල් සමාජය, පෞද්ගලික අංශය මේ සියලු දෙනාම එකසේ කටයුතු කළ යුතුමයි. පෞද්ගලික අංශය වගේම අප සියලු දෙනාගේ සාමූහික ප්‍රයත්නයක් මේ වෙනුවෙන් අවශ්‍යයි. වින්දිතයන් හඳුනා ගැනීම සහ ආරක්ෂා කිරීම, අපරාධකරුවන්ට නඩු පැවරීම සහ මේ වර්ධනය වෙන අපරාධයට අනුගත වීම සඳහා ශක්තිමත් සහයෝගීතාවක් අපිට අවශ්‍යයි. මෙවන් පසුබිමක සේෆ් පදනම බැරෑරුම් කාර්යභාරයකට අවතීර්ණ වන්නේ මිනිස් වෙළඳාම නැමැති අපරාධවලට ඒ අපරාධ වරද පිළිබඳව සමාජය දැනුවත් කරමින් සහ ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් විවිධ වැඩපිළිවෙල සකස් කරමින් අද මේ වෝටර්සෙජ්හි පවත්වන මෙම අවස්ථාවද SAFE පදනම එහි හවුල්කාර සංවිධාන 4ක් සිවිල් සංවිධාන 120කගේ සහ රාජ්‍ය ආයතනවල එකතුවක ප්‍රතිඵලයක් වශයෙන් ආරක්ෂා වන්න යන තේමාව යටතේ විවිධ විශේෂාංග වලින් සැදුම්ලත් අද දිනේ මෙම වැඩසටහන් මාලාව ජාත්‍යන්තර සංවර්ධනය සඳහා වූ එක්සත් ජනපද නියෝජිත ආයතනයේ නැතහොත් බොහෝ දෙනා දන්නා පරිදි USAID සහ අනෙකුත් ගෞරවනීය පාර්ශවකරුවන්ගේ සහයෝගයෙන් සිදුවන්නක්. ඒ අවදානමට ලක්විය හැකි පුද්ගලයන් සූරා කෑමෙන් ආරක්ෂා කිරීමේ වගකීම පෙරදැරි කරගෙනයි. මනුෂ්‍යත්වයේ වටිනාකම සියල්ලන්ටම එකසේ තිබිය යුතු බව අවධාරණය කරමින් අයිතීන් වලට ගරු කරමින් අපේ හදවත්වල නැගෙන සහකම්පනය සමග ඉතින් එසේනම් සනිටුවන් කරමු මිනිස් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහි ஜாத்யந்தர தின. தர்ஷன்.
Thank you. அனைவருக்கும் காலை வணக்கம். இன்னைக்கு ஜூலை 30. இந்த நாள் சிறப்பான ஒரு நாள். சிறப்பான ஒரு நாள் அப்படின்ற சொல்றதை விட இது ஒரு முக்கியமான நாள் அப்படின்னு கூட சொல்லலாம். இந்த நாள் ஏன் முக்கியமான ஒரு நாளா காணப்படுது? எஸ், இன்னைக்கு மனித வியாபாரத்துக்கும் கடத்தலுக்கும் எதிரான சர்வதேச நாள். இப்ப நீங்க ஆச்சரியப்படலாம், மனித வியாபாரம் அப்படின்னா என்ன, விற்பனை, நபர்களை விற்பனை செய்யறது அப்படின்னா என்ன அப்படின்னு. இது உலகம் பூராவே இருக்கக்கூடிய மில்லியன் கணக்கான நபர்களை நாளுக்கு நாள் பாதிப்படைய செய்துகிட்டு இருக்க ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய குற்றமா காணப்படுது. போதிய விழிப்புணர்வு இல்லாமை, நிதி பற்றாக்குறை, இந்த மாதிரியான காரணங்களால பல சமூகங்கள் இன்னைக்கு வரைக்கும் இந்த குற்றவாளிகள் கிட்ட சிக்கி பாதிப்படைஞ்சுக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க. இன, மொழி, ஜாதி பேத, பாலினம் இது எல்லாத்தையுமே மீறி ஆண்கள், பெண்கள் மற்றும் சிறுவர்கள் கூட கட்டாய தொழில் மற்றும் பாலியல் சம்பந்தமான பாதிப்புகளுக்கு உள்ளாகிக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க. நமக்கு சொந்தமான இந்த அழகான நாட்டிலையும் கூட இந்த மனித கடத்தலோட விளைவுகள் நம்மளை பாதிச்சுக்கிட்டு தான் இருக்கு. இதுல ரொம்ப வருத்தமான விஷயம் என்ன அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, இலங்கை இந்த கடத்தல் தொழிலுக்கான ஒரு வளமாகவும் ஆரம்ப புள்ளியாகவும் அறிவிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கு. இந்த தொழிலை செய்யறவங்க குற்றவாளிகளை பிடிக்கிறது ரொம்ப கஷ்டமான ஒரு விஷயமா இருக்கு. அதுக்கு காரணம் என்ன அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, அவங்க இந்த தொழிலை தொடர்ச்சியா செஞ்சுக்கிட்டு போறதுக்காக புது புது யுத்திகளை கடைபிடிச்சிட்டு இருக்காங்க. அண்மையில இடம்பெற்ற பொருளாதார வீழ்ச்சி, குறிப்பா COVID-19 பிறகு பெரிய பாரிய பொருளாதார வீழ்ச்சி நம்ம ஃபேஸ் பண்ணியிருந்தோம். இந்த நிலைமை அதுக்கப்புறமா ரொம்பவும் மோசமாகி வந்திருக்கு. வெளிநாடுகள்ல போய் வேலை செய்யறவங்க வேலை இழப்பை எதிர்கொண்டாங்க. அவங்களுக்கான ஊதியம் மறுக்கப்பட்டது. சிலர் நாடு திரும்பி பொருளாதார நெருக்கடி காரணமா திரும்பவும் ஆட்கடத்தலுக்கு உள்ளாகி பாதிக்கப்பட்டிருக்காங்க. இருந்தாலும் எங்களோட நம்பிக்கையை நாங்க கைவிட தேவையில்லை. அரசாங்கம், சிவில் சமூகம், தனியார் துறை மற்றும் எங்களோட எல்லாரோடைய ஒன்றிணைப்பு இதை மாற்ற முடியும். பாதிக்கப்பட்டவங்களை கண்டுபிடிச்சு பாதுகாக்கணும். குற்றவாளிகளை அவங்கள பிடிச்சு தண்டனை வழங்கணும். மேலும் இது நடக்காம இருக்கணும். இதுக்கு எங்க எல்லாருடைய ஒத்துழைப்பும் மிக அவசியமானதா இருக்கு. இந்த நாளை குறிக்கும் வகையில சேஃப் அறக்கட்டளை அவங்களுடைய 120 சிவில் அமைப்புகளை கொண்ட கூட்டணியோட ஒன்றிணைஞ்சு கடத்தலுக்கு எதிராக ஒன்றுபட்டிருக்காங்க. கடத்தலுக்கு எதிராக ஒன்றுபடுங்கள் அப்படின்ற ஒரு தேசிய நிகழ்வை ஏற்பாடு செஞ்சிருக்காங்க. அவங்க சர்வதேச வளர்ச்சிக்கான ஐக்கிய நாடுகளோட முகவராண்மையின் உயர்ந்த ஒத்துழைப்பை பெற்றிருக்காங்க. அல்லது USAID அப்படின்ற எல்லாராலையும் அறியப்படுகின்ற நிறுவனத்தோட ஒத்துழைப்பை பெற்றிருக்காங்க அப்படின்னு கூட சொல்லலாம். இந்த துணைப்பொருள் பாதுகாப்பாக இருங்கள். ஆகவே ஆட்கடத்தலுக்கு எதிரான இந்த சர்வதேச நாளை நினைவு கூறும் வகையில பாதிப்படைஞ்சவைகளை பாதுகாக்க கூட்டு முயற்சியில ஈடுபடுவோம். பாதுகாப்பான நீதியான சமூகத்தை சுரண்ட மாதிரியான செயற்பாடுகள் இல்லாத ஒரு சமூகத்தை உருவாக்குவோம். ஒன்றுபட்டா கண்டிப்பா ஒரு மாற்றத்தை உருவாக்க முடியும். இன்னைக்கு இந்த இடத்துல நீங்க எல்லாரும் கூடியிருக்கிறது எங்களுக்கு ஊக்கமளிக்கிற வகையில அமைஞ்சிருக்கு. அனைவருக்குமான சிறந்த உலகத்தை உருவாக்க கைகோர்ப்போம். ஸ்டெஃபனி.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the 30th of July, and it is an extremely special and important day. And that's why we're gathered here today. Today is the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. Now, trafficking in persons is a grave crime that impacts millions of vulnerable individuals worldwide. The lack of awareness and financial difficulties have left many communities vulnerable, making them extremely easy targets for traffickers. And this crime is often called modern-day slavery. It exploits women, men, and children for forced labor and sexual exploitation despite their race, religion, caste, class, or gender. Even in our very own beautiful country of Sri Lanka, we have been touched by the effects of human trafficking, and it is extremely sad to say that Sri Lanka has been reported as a source, transit, and destination for trafficking. Catching these criminals can be quite challenging because they keep adapting to new tactics to keep exploiting their victims. The recent economic downturn, especially after COVID-19, has made things much worse. Migrant workers faced job losses and were denied wages, leading to increased debt bondage, and sadly, returning migrant workers are at risk of being trafficked again due to economic hardships. However, we mustn't and we should not lose hope. Because together we can combat human trafficking. It requires a collective response from the government, from civil society, the private sector, and every single one of us here. Identifying and protecting victims, prosecuting perpetrators, and adapting to this evolving crime needs strong cooperation. So to mark this significant day, the SAFE Foundation, along with their 120 civil society organizations, a coalition actually called the Unite Against Trafficking Coalition, have organized this national level event. They've got the valuable support of the United States Agency for International Development, and many of us know it as USAID, and other esteemed stakeholders. The theme for this event is Be Safe. It's all about safeguarding all vulnerable individuals from exploitation. So as we observe this World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, let's pledge to take collective responsibility in protecting victims and working together to make sure that they're safe, and they're safe, just, and it's an exploitation-free society. Together, ladies and gentlemen, we can make a difference. And it is absolutely amazing to have every single one of you here today. It's inspiring. So let's join hands and create a better world for everybody.
ඔබ දන්නවා ඇති තැනැත්තන් වෙළඳාම නිසා ලෝපුරා මිනිස් ජීවිත ගණනාවක් අහිමි වන බව. මිනිස් ජීවිතවල වටිනාකම නැති කර දමන්නා වූ මේ බරපතල අපරාධය මානව ශිෂ්ටාචාරයට ගැඹුරු කැලලක්. මිනිස් වෙළඳාමෙහි වින්දිතයන් සිහිපත් කරමින් විනාඩියක නිශ්ශබ්දතාවක් ආරක්ෂා කරන මෙන් ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම දැන් අප ගෞරවයෙන් ආරාධනා කරනවා.
இந்த ஆட்களத்தில் தொழிலில் பல விலைமதிப்பற்ற உயிர்களை பாதிச்சிருக்கு. எங்களுடைய இதயங்களில் ஆழமான வடுக்களை உருவாக்கி இருக்கு. ஆகவே பாதிக்கப்பட்டவர்களுக்கான ஒரு நிமிட மௌனாஞ்சலி செலுத்துவோம்.
So we will take this moment, ladies and gentlemen, to remember the lives lost due to the devastating impact of human trafficking. This heinous crime has taken away so many precious lives, leaving a deep scar in our hearts. So together, let us show respect as a 1-minute silence in remembrance for those who have suffered and lost their lives to this terrible injustice.
බොහොම ස්තුතියි. බලාපොරොත්තුවක් අවැසිම මොහොතක අනුරාධපුර ගම්බද ප්‍රදේශයක සිට එක් පුද්ගලයෙක් දීර්ඝ ගමනකට මුල පුරන්නේ වර්ෂ 2007 දී. ඊටම සීමිත සම්පත් ප්‍රමාණයක් සමග සමාජ සේවා කටයුතු ආරම්භ කළ ඔහු අද මේ තත්ත්වය දක්වා අප්‍රතිහත ධෛර්යයෙන් යුතුව පුරවැසියන් දහස් ගණනක් තුල ධනාත්මක වෙනසක් ඇති කරමින් සමාජයේ ප්‍රගමණයට කැපවෙමින් සිටිනවා. ඒ ශක්තිමත් සහ දූරදර්ශී පුද්ගලයා අන් කිසිවෙකුත් නොව SAFE පදනමේ නිර්මාතෘ සහ විධායක අධ්‍යක්ෂ එන් හර්ෂ ජයරත්න මහතා. අද දින සපමිනී සියලු දෙනා පිළිගන්නට එන් හර්ෂ ජයරත්න මහත්මයාණන්ට ගෞරවයෙන් ආරාධනා කරනවා වේදිකාවට.
எதிர்பார்ப்புகளும் நம்பிக்கையும் அழிஞ்சு போயிருந்த காலகட்டத்தில் 2007 ஆண்டு அனுராதபுர பிரதேசத்திலிருந்து ஒரே ஒரு மனிதர், பாதிக்கப்பட்ட மனிதர் வெளியே வந்தார். அவருடைய குறிக்கோளும் நோக்கங்களும் இந்த குற்றவாளிகளை தடுக்கிறது மட்டும்தான். அவருடைய விடாமுயற்சி, தன்னம்பிக்கை, இந்த விஷயங்களால இந்த குற்றவாளிகளுடைய இந்த செயற்பாடுகளை தடுக்கிறதுக்கான முயற்சிகள் முன்னெடுக்கப்பட்டு நாம இன்னைக்கு இந்த ஸ்டேஜில் நின்றுகிட்டு இருக்கோம். அவரை உங்களுடைய கைத்தட்டல்களுக்கு மத்தியில் மரியாதை செலுத்துமாறு கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறேன்.
Ladies and gentlemen, in a world where hope seemed lost, there emerged a man with humble beginnings in rural Anuradhapura. Back in 2007, with extremely limited resources, he embarked on a remarkable journey that has led us to where we stand here today. His dedication and hard work have brought about positive change, not just for himself, but for countless others. So kindly let me introduce this visionary, the man behind it all, the founder and executive director of SAFE Foundation. Put your hands together for Mr. N. Harsha Jayaratnam.
Good morning, everyone. The Honorable Minister Manushana Naikara, Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment, Honorable State Minister Arvind Kumar, the State Ministry of Education, Mr. James Rindy, Senior Development Outreach Communications Advisor, USAID, Ms. Rehana Kutlian, and other officials of USAID, Mr. Gautaman Balachandran, Chief of Party IDEA, Mr. LGMG Chandrasiri Bandara, Chief Secretary of North Central Province, Major General Mr. J.R. Kulatunga, the Chair of the Internal Committee at Ministry of Defence for Counter-Trafficking, Mrs. Dhammika Vijayasinghe, Additional Secretary, Defence, Ministry of Defence, Mr. Gammanpila, Additional Secretary, Minister of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial and Local Government, Mrs. Mayuri Pereira, Senior Assistant Secretary, Internal Committee of Ministry of Defence Counter-Trafficking, Mr. S.R.W.M.R. Satkumar, Postmaster General, Postal Department, Executive Officer Mr. Abdullah Mohidin, Embassy, the United Arab Emirates, Mr. Rohan Sahabandhu, President Council, Chairman of Legal Aid Commission, Mr. Prabhat Chandrakirti, Commissioner General, Labour Department of Labour, Mr. Pradeep Saptantri, Commissioner General, Department of Registration of Persons, Mr. Sahanyam Yahampat, Advisor Minister, Labour and Foreign Employment, DIG Renuka Jayasundara, Head of Child and Women Abuse Prevention Range, Mr. Sanjeev Vimala Gunaratna, Director General, National Secretariat for Non-Governmental Organization, Mr. KG Vijayasiri, DC Secretary Colombo, Mr. Mangala Randeniya, General Manager, Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment Agency, Mr. PG Esyapa, DGM Training, SLBFE, and other officials of Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment, Mr. MJSS Kistiri, Director Marketing, Samurdhi Authority, Mr. M. Marika, Secretary General of Rahama and his team, Mr. Niroshan Nekanayaka, Executive Director of Samadana and his team, Mr. Chaminda Jayasekara, Chief Executive Officer, Pratibha Media Network and his team, and representative of 120 civil society organizations under the ECC project in 12 districts. Also, ambassadors who really working for us and combat human trafficking and save migrations, Ms. Yureni Noshika, Mr. Kapila Rashnayaka, and Mr. Lakayan Sika, and representative of media and journalists, and development partners and Swiss Development Corporation, and networks, civil society network such as National Action Coordination Group, Voice of Migrants, private sector officials, SAFE board members and all staff, and ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and distinguished participants. A warm welcome to all of you on this significant occasion as we gather here today to commemorate the World Day Against Trafficking in Person 2023. This event makes a critical milestone in our united effort to combat human trafficking in Sri Lanka and reframe our commitment to safeguarding the right of and dignity of every individual. Global crisis, conflicts, and climate emergencies have amplified the risk of human trafficking, affecting millions of vulnerable people worldwide. Sri Lanka too has to be untouched by this grave crime as it remains a source, transit, and destination for trafficking. Marginalized communities are particularly susceptible by exploitation, making it. It is very imperative for us to come together and address this complex and evolving issue. The economic downturn has exacerbated vulnerability, leading to an increase in debt bondage among migrant workers who face job losses and exploitation. Returning migrant workers already vulnerable are at further risk of re-trafficking due to the economic hardships. Additionally, the digital realm has become another avenue for exploitation, with online predators targeting children who lack digital safeguard and awareness. Today, under the theme of Be Safe, aligning with the UN 2023 theme, reach every victim of trafficking, leave no one behind. We stand together to raise awareness and take collective action against human trafficking. This national level event, organized by SAFE Foundation in collaboration with the coalitions of civil society organizations known as Unite Against Trafficking, is made possible with the valuable support of the development partner of USAID. We are also grateful for the active participation of esteemed stakeholders, including National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force, MSIDEA, ULEAD, and the Department of Samruddhi Development and Sri Lanka Bureau for Implementation and other government stakeholders. Through the day, we aim to achieve several essential objectives. Raise awareness about the root causes and impact of human trafficking in our society. Foster cooperation and coordination among various stakeholders to combat this crime effectively. Advocate robust policies and laws against human trafficking. Enhance victim response mechanism and support system to provide comprehensive assistance to the affected. Promote skill development, empower vulnerable individuals, reduce their susceptibility and exploitation. Maximize community outreach, diverse campaign to build a safer, just and exploitation-free society. So, again, thank you so much for your welcome. It's a great honor to us to be with the part of combat human trafficking in Sri Lanka. Thank you so much.
සුරක්ෂිත සහ යහපත් ලෝකයක් බිහි කිරීම සඳහා අප සියලු දෙනා සම්බන්ධ කර ගනිමින් සිදු කරන කාර්යභාරය සඳහා ඔබ වෙත ගෞරවපූර්වක ස්තුතිය නැවතත් පුද කරනවා එන් හර්ෂ ජයරත්න මහත්මයාණනි. දැන් අප යොමු වන්නේ විශේෂ පණිවුඩයක් වෙත. ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ එක්සත් ජනපද තානාපතිනිය ගරු ජූලි චං මැතිනිය කාර්යබහුල කාලසටහනක් සහ බොහෝ වගකීම් තිබියදීත් පටිගත කරන ලද පණිවුඩයක් හරහා මෙම අවස්ථාවට ඇගේ ආශිර්වාදය ලබා දෙන්නට කටයුතු කර තිබෙනවා. අපගේ අවධානය තිරය වෙත ලබා දෙමින් එම අවස්ථාව සඳහා දැන් අප එක්වෙමු.
திரு என் ஹர்ஷ ஜெயரத்ன அவர்களுக்கு எங்களுடைய நன்றிகள். உங்கள் அனைவருடனும் பகிர்ந்து கொள்ள என்னிடம் சிறந்த ஒரு செய்தி உள்ளது. அவரின் கடுமையான வேலைப்பளுவிலும் பல பொறுப்புகள் இருந்த போதிலும் இந்த நிகழ்வை தவறவிடுவதை அவர் ஏற்கவில்லை. அந்த அளவுக்கு அவர் இம்மகத்தான பணியில் ஆர்வமாக உள்ளார். இலங்கைக்கான அமெரிக்க தூதுவர் ஜூலி சங்கினுடைய ஒரு பதிவு செய்யப்பட்ட சிறப்பு செய்தியை பார்க்க சிறிது நேரம் ஒதுக்குவோம்.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now have a special message to share with you all. Despite her incredibly busy schedule and numerous responsibilities, this wonderful woman could not bear to miss this event. That is how passionate she is about this cause. So, let's take a moment to watch the special recorded message by Her Excellency Julie Chang, the United States Ambassador to Sri Lanka. Ladies and gentlemen, please divert your attention to the screen as we hear her powerful message.
And I want to offer my thoughts on this critically important topic. Few of the issues we face as a global community rise to the importance of combating trafficking of persons. We often discuss the scores in terms of numbers of victims rescued or traffickers prosecuted or the amount of money spent on those efforts. Those are all important statistics, but they don't always communicate the devastating costs that trafficking has on individual people. Let me put the issue in very human terms. Last April, I made a trip to Anuradhapura, where I met a gentleman at an event hosted by USAID's anti-trafficking partner, the SAFE Foundation. He tearfully told me about his wife, who went to earn money for her family as a domestic worker in a Middle Eastern country, leaving him and their children back in Sri Lanka as she sought a better life for them. Just months after arriving, she fell ill. When she told the agency she wished to return to her home and family, she was told she would be required to complete another 8 months of service and pay an exorbitant 400,000 rupees to leave. She was trapped. Fortunately, her husband learned of the predicament she was in and referred the case to the SAFE Foundation. Through SAFE's advocacy with the Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment, the family was reunited earlier this month. The emotional and psychological toll on this family from the ordeal was clear on the man's face as he shared his story. Today, I'm thankful that through our support to SAFE, he and his family are reunited and continue to heal. Unfortunately, we know that not every trafficking story ends in a happy ending. There are countless others who continue to be victims. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said it well in this year's State Department's report on trafficking in persons when he wrote, quote, "Human trafficking is an affront to our foundational values," unquote. That's why fighting human trafficking in all its forms is a U.S. priority. As we celebrate 75 years of bilateral partnership with Sri Lanka, our joint work with your nation to fight trafficking strengthens our national bonds. Our work together makes both our countries and the South Asia region safer. We fight trafficking in Sri Lanka on a number of fronts. USAID's work with the SAFE Foundation is one of our main efforts. We also work to enhance Sri Lanka's security through our Office of Defense Cooperation, which has donated 3 former U.S. Coast Guard cutters and other equipment and provided training and exercises for the Sri Lankan Navy and Coast Guard to crack down on all forms of trafficking. I'm particularly pleased this year that Sri Lanka maintained its status on the State Department's annual report ranking anti-trafficking efforts by country. The Sri Lankan government showed it remains actively engaged in battling trafficking in persons. Still, there is more work to be done. Among the report's several recommendations to Sri Lanka for continued progress, I want to highlight 3 that speak directly to the human elements of trafficking. The first is to increase efforts to investigate, prosecute, and penalize traffickers, including labor traffickers. The other 2 focus on the trafficking victims. One is to do better to proactively identify those victims, and the other is to improve the quality and accessibility of victim services so that survivors can recover physically and emotionally. Each year, thousands of Sri Lankans migrate for economic opportunity. These individuals who are searching for a better life should not find themselves in bondage to unscrupulous employment agencies or otherwise exploited. As we mark this important day, let's always remember to emphasize the human in human trafficking. Our goal shouldn't be to turn the tears of sorrow I witnessed in April to tears of joy, but to prevent any tears at all by working to eliminate this most personal of crimes against humanity. Thank you.
Please put your hands together for Her Excellency Julie Chung, and together we'll turn those tears of pain into tears of joy.
අද දින පවත්වනු ලබන මෙම වැඩසටහන යථාර්ථයක් බවට පත්වන්නේ සේෆ් පදනමේ දැඩි කැපවීම සහ එක්සත් ජනපද නියෝජිත ආයතනයේ එනම් USAID ආයතනයේ සහයෝගයෙන් ක්‍රියාත්මක වන ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ මිනිස් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහිව සිවිල් සංවිධාන බලගැන්වීමේ ව්‍යාපෘතිය තුලින් සේෆ් පදනම සහ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ මිනිස් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහිව සිවිල් සංවිධාන බලගැන්වීමේ ව්‍යාපෘතිය මෙතෙක් පැමිණි ගමන ඔබ ඉදිරියේ දිගහැරෙන අවස්ථාවයි මේ. ඔබ නරඹන්නට සූදානම් වන වාර්තා චිත්‍රපටය ව්‍යාපෘතියේ ක්‍රියාකාරකම් මිනිස් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහිව සිදු කරන ලද බලපෑම සහ සුරක්ෂිත ශ්‍රී ලංකාවක් පිළිබඳ ඔබට මනා අවබෝධයක් ලබා දෙනු ඇති.
சேஃப் அறக்கட்டளை மற்றும் இலங்கையில் மனித கடத்தலை எதிர்த்து போராடுவதற்கான வலுவூட்டும் CSOக்களின் மகத்தான அர்ப்பணிப்பு ECCT திட்டமானது USAID எனப்படும் சர்வதேச அபிவிருத்திக்கான ஐக்கிய அமெரிக்காவின் முகவராண்மையால் பெரிதும் ஏற்றுக்கொள்ளப்படுவதாலேயே இன்று நாம் இங்கு காணும் அனைத்தையும் சாத்தியமாக்கியுள்ளோம். இப்போது சேஃப் அறக்கட்டளை மற்றும் ECCT திட்டத்தின் வியத்தகு பயணத்தை ஒரு ஆவணப்படம் மூலம் காட்சிப்படுத்த எதிர்பார்க்கின்றோம். இதில் இணைந்து நீங்களும் உத்வேகம் பெற தயாராகுங்கள். இவ்வாவணப்படம் மனித கடத்தலை எதிர்த்து போராடுவதிலும் பாதுகாப்பான இலங்கையை மேம்படுத்துவதிலும் அது ஏற்படுத்திய நேர்மைய தாக்கத்தை எடுத்துக்காட்டும் வகையில் திட்டத்தின் செயற்பாடுகள் மூலம் எம்மை அழைத்துச் செல்லும்.
Everything we see here today is possible because of the immense dedication of the SAFE Foundation and empowering CSOs to combat human trafficking in Sri Lanka. The ECCT project is generously supported by the United States Agency for International Development, known as USAID. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be inspired as we showcase the incredible journey of SAFE Foundation and the ECCT project through a documentary. This documentary will take us through the project's activities, highlighting the positive impact that it has had in combating human trafficking and promoting a safer Sri Lanka. So, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy.
The agriculture-based economy at the time of independence was later transformed into an economy dependent on apparel exports and migrant workers' remittances. Human trafficking and smuggling are global and widespread crimes. Being a developing country, Sri Lanka is not an exception. Driven by its vision of helping vulnerable and marginalized communities, SAFE Foundation have been active in the past 15 years. Having realized the urgent need to counter human trafficking and promoting safe migration, the SAFE Foundation ECCT project in October 2021 with the support of the USAID.
SAFE Foundation is playing a vital role to combat human trafficking and promote safe migration in Sri Lanka. This is a timely response project SAFE Foundation implementing across the 12 districts with the 4 partners and the 120 civil society organizations.
ECCT is a 5-year project implemented by SAFE Foundation in partnership with 4 organizations across 12 districts in 6 provinces in Sri Lanka. The 4 partners are Rama, Samadhana, OECRP, and Pratibha Media Network. SAFE Foundation directly managing ECCT project in Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, Kurunegala and Puttalam districts. In these areas, the agriculture is the main economic activity. The SAFE Foundation is engaged in empowering CSOs in the aforesaid areas and also empowering people through migrant worker societies. The MWS improve livelihood of people by creating self-employment and various income-generating opportunities.
අපි සුවන් උපකාරක කණ්ඩායමක් විදිහට අපි කට්ටියම එකතු වුණා. ඒකතු වෙලා තමයි දැන් මේ කණ්ඩායමේ එක එක්කෙනා පොඩි පොඩි මේ ව්‍යාපාර පටන් ගත්තා. ඒ ව්‍යාපාරවල ව්‍යාපාරේ විදියට මම කරන්නේ මගේ වළං කස්සාව. එතකොට මේ දිමුතු මහත්මිය ඉන්නවා. දිමුතු මහත්මිය ගැමි රස අච්චාරුව කරනවා. ඒ අතරම තව රස කැවිලි නිෂ්පාදනයකුත් කරනවා.
The SAFE Foundation, with the support of CSOs, assists victims to make complaints and seek redress from law. The SAFE closely work with public officials, providing required training for them to combat human trafficking.
වැදගත්ම දේ තමයි මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපේ වසම් මට්ටමින් වැඩ කරන රාජ්‍ය නිලධාරීන් දැනුවත් කිරීම. එතනදී ග්‍රාම නිලධාරීන්, ආර්ථික සංවර්ධන නිලධාරීන් සහ විශේෂයෙන්ම විදේශ රැකියා සම්බන්ධයෙන් කටයුතු කරන විදේශ රැකියා සංවර්ධන නිලධාරීන් සහ මේ හා සම්බන්ධ ළමා හිමිකම් ප්‍රවර්ධන නිලධාරීන්, වනිතා කටයුතු නිලධාරීන්, ඒ වගේ මිනිස්සුත් එක්ක ගැටිලා ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨයේ වැඩ කරන නිලධාරීන් මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් දැනුවත් වීම අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි කියන මතේ අපි බොහෝ දුරට ඉන්නවා. ඒ නිසාම තමයි අපි SAFE Foundation ආයතනය මේ සංවිධානය කරපු දැනුවත් කිරීම වලට අපේ රාජ්‍ය නිලධාරීන්ව සම්බන්ධ කරන්න කටයුතු කළේ.
Having realized the importance of providing foreign employment-oriented training, the SAFE Foundation partnered with the public sector to conduct training for aspirants.
විදේශ නියුක්තිකාරයන්සත් එක්කත් විශේෂයෙන්ම SAFE Foundation එකත් එක්කත් කතා කරලා ඒත් එක්කම ILO එකත් මේ අවස්ථාවේ ඒ වෙලාවේ අපිත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡාවට එකතු වුණා. අපි ට්‍රේනින් එහෙම නැත්නම් පුහුණු කිරීම පටන් ගත්තා. විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි මුලින්ම පටන් ගත්තේ පුහුණු කරන්නට විදේශයන් සඳහා යන්නට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන සෞඛ්‍ය ක්ෂේත්‍රයයි.
Thus, the beneficiaries will get more opportunities in finding skilled occupations instead of unskilled jobs.
මේ වෙනකොට අපි දන්නවා ශ්‍රී ලංකා වාසීන් විශාල වශයෙන් විදේශගත වීම සිද්ධ වෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ විදේශගත වීමේදී නීත්‍යානුකූල නොවන මාර්ග වලින් විදේශගත වීමේදී ශ්‍රමය සූරා කෑම සහ විවිධ ගැටලු වලට මේ ජනතාව මුහුණ දෙනවා. අපි මෙතනදී මතක් කිරීමක් කරන්නේ නියමිත වෘත්තීය සුසුකමක් සහිතව නියමිත ක්‍රමවේද අනුගමනය කරමින් විදේශගත වෙන ලෙසට
2 நாள் ஈக்குன்னு சொல்லிட்டு எங்களை 11 நாள் கொழும்புல வச்சிருந்தாங்க. அதுக்கு பிறகு 11 நாளைக்கு பிறகு விசா வந்து 2 நாளில் அதுக்கு பிறகு ஏர்போர்ட்டுக்கு போக சொன்னாங்க. இத்தனை மணிக்கு ஃப்ளைட்னா நான் டிக்கெட்டை தர இல்லை. ஏர்போர்ட் உள்ளுக்கு போனதுக்கு பிறகு டிக்கெட்டை ஃபோனுக்கு அனுப்புனாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் நாங்கள் இங்கேருந்து துபாய்க்கு போனோம். அங்கே போயிட்டு எங்களுக்கு ஒரு ரூமில் 18 பேர் அவ்வளோ பேர் விசாவும் முடிஞ்சு எங்களுக்கு தெரியாமல் நாங்கள் போயிட்டு மாட்டிக்கிட்டோம்.
போய் அங்கே சரியாக அநியாயம் செஞ்சானுங்க. ஒரு ரூமில் 18 பேர் வச்சு அடைச்சிருந்தாங்க. அடைச்சி வேலை தராமல் நம்ம 15 நாள் இருந்தாங்க.
In Mullaitivu and Vavuniya districts, people still depend on primary industries such as agriculture and fisheries. Rahama, which has long history in serving people in the war-affected areas, has been entrusted with managing ECCT project in these 2 districts.
Particularly looking at these migration issue, legal and illegal migrations, our concerns are more to deal with local civil societies as well as educating the government co-partners to increase awareness and to prevent the illegal migration particularly.
Having conducted numerous training programs for government officers, Rama received positive feedback from them.
This is a kind of groundbreaking reality. We can show it that if we are going to give a real need to the people, having a joint hand operation with the government, so we can achieve together.
Rama also engaged in capacity building of CSOs in Mullaitivu and Vavuniya districts to combat human trafficking. In Kandy and Norelia, tea cultivation is the major source of revenue, while some people are engaged in handicraft and small businesses. Samadhana is implementing ECCT project in Kandy and Norelia. The Samadhana has been helping victims in one of the most marginalized communities in the country, estate community.
සමාදාන ජාතික මධ්‍යස්ථානය 1994 ඉඳලා අවුරුදු 30ක් සිවිල් සමාජ සංවර්ධන ශේෂ්ත්‍රයේ වැඩ කරන ආයතනයක්. වර්තමානයේ මිනිස් වෙළඳාම සුරක්ෂිත සමවිකමනය පිළිබඳ මධ්‍යම පළාතේ නියාමනය කරන ප්‍රධාන ආයතනය ලෙස අපි සුරක්ෂිත සමවිකමනය ප්‍රවර්ධනය කිරීම, රාජ්‍ය හා රාජ්‍ය නොවන අංශවල පුද්ගලික අංශවල සම්බන්ධීකරණය ගොඩනැගීම සඳහා කටයුතු කරනවා.
The organization is engaged in sensitizing and training of wide range of public officials, including health officers. The Samadhana has been helping victims in one of the most marginalized communities in the country, estate community.
පඩි හරියට දුන්නේ නැහැ මොනවත් නැහැ. ඒක ඉඳලා මම ඊට පස්සේ විසත් ඉවරලා මම එළියට එilla කණ්ඩත් නැතුව මුන්නත් නැතුව එහෙම තමයි හිටියේ.
The Sabarakamuwa province of Sri Lanka is known for gem mining and tea cultivation. OECRP is managing ECCT project in Ratnapura and Kegol districts.
ප්‍රධානම වැඩපිළිවෙලක් තමයි මේ ව්‍යාපෘතියේ රත්නපුර සහ කෑගල්ල දිස්ත්‍රික් දෙකේ දිස්ත්‍රික් මිනිස් වෙළඳාම් පිටුදැකීමේ සංසද ඇති කිරීම. දිස්ත්‍රික් මට්ටමේ සංසද විතරක් නෙමෙයි මිනිස් වෙළඳාම් පිටුදැකීම සඳහා අපි ප්‍රාදේශීය මට්ටමේ මිනිස් වෙළඳාම් පිටුදැකීමේ සංසදත් නිර්මාණය කරනවා.
The OECRP work with 20 CSOs in Ratnapura and Kegol to educate the community. They endeavour to make youths will play leading role in combating human trafficking with the support of CSO. The OECRP assist Migrant Workers Society to secure income generating activities for their members. Pratibha Media Network portrays the issues experienced by citizens in the media, placing those issues in the public agenda. The Pratibha Media Network manage ECCT project in Mathura and Hambantota. They have played important role in highlighting plight of Sri Lankan trafficking victims in Laos. Those victims were lured into foreign jobs on the pretext that they will get well-paying ICT sector jobs in Thailand. The Pratibha Media Network engaged in training youths in the area to combat human trafficking and also empowering CSOs.
මේ විදිහට අපි මේ මිනිස් වෙළඳාම අවම කරන්න, ඒව පිටු දකින්න, ඒ වෙනුවෙන් ප්‍රජාව තුළ ඇති දැනුවත් භාවය වැඩි කරන්න වගේම අනිත් පැත්තෙන් සුරක්ෂිත සංක්‍රමණයන් ප්‍රවර්ධනය කරන්න අපි විශාල වූ වැඩ කොටසක් පහුගිය මාස කිහිපය තුළ මේ ව්‍යාපෘතිය හරහා ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න හැකියාව ලැබුණා. අනිත් පැත්තෙන් අපි සිවිල් සංවිධාන බල ගන්නනවා වගේම රාජ්‍ය අංශයත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා රජයේ තියෙන වැඩපිළිවෙලට දායකත්වයක් දීලා සිවිල් සංවිධාන සහ රාජ්‍ය ඒකාබද්ධ කරලා මේ සුරක්ෂිත සංක්‍රම ප්‍රවර්ධනය කරන්න අනිත් පැත්තෙන් මිනිස් වෙළඳාම අවම කරන්න අපි කටයුතු කරගෙන යනවා.
The eradication of human trafficking and smuggling is absolute necessity to achieve the sustainable development in Sri Lanka.
The human trafficking and the human smuggling both are against the human rights. Therefore, as the organization, as the citizens in the country, we have responsibility to combat human trafficking in Sri Lanka with the support of multi-stakeholders in Sri Lanka.
What a remarkable journey. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for that documentary. Thank you.
අදවැනි දිනයක සුවිශේෂී බව සෑම විටම නොමැකෙන සුළුයි. එසේම එහි නිමිත්ත සෑම මොහොතකටම සෑම දිනකටම අදාළයි. එනම් මිනිස් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහි සටන නොනැවති සිදු කළ යුත්තක්. අද දිනේ සැමරුම මතකයක් ලෙස එක් කිරීම එහි වැදගත් බව නැවත නැවත අවධාරණය කරනවා. ශ්‍රී ලංකා තැපැල් දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ චිරස්ථිත සම්ප්‍රදාය අනුගමනය කරමින් අද විශේෂ පළමු දින කවරයක් සහ මුද්දරයක් නිකුත් කිරීමේ ඓතිහාසික මොහොතේ කොටස්කරුවන් වීමට මේ දැන් අප සැමට අවස්ථාව.
இன்று போன்ற ஒரு நாள் எப்பொழுதுமே சிறப்பானதாகவும் முக்கியமானதாகவும் அமைய வேண்டும். ஆனால் அது உண்மையிலேயே குறிப்பிடத்தக்கதாக மாற வேண்டுமாயின் அது மறக்க முடியாத நினைவுகளை கொண்டதாக இருக்க வேண்டும். அதைத்தான் உங்களுக்காக நாங்கள் சேமித்து வைத்திருக்கிறோம். இந்த குறிப்பிடத்தக்க நிகழ்வை குறிக்கும் வகையில் அஞ்சல் துறை சிறப்பு தபால் அட்டை மற்றும் முத்திரையை இன்று வெளியிடுகிறது. இது ஒரு முக்கியமான நிகழ்வு. நீங்கள் அனைவரும் இதில் ஒரு பகுதியாக இருப்பதற்கான அரிய வாய்ப்பு உங்களுக்கு கிட்டியுள்ளது. இது போன்ற முக்கியமான நிகழ்வுகளை காட்சிப்படுத்துவதில் அஞ்சல் துறையின் நீண்டகால பாரம்பரியத்தை நீங்கள் காண முடியும். எனவே மேலும் தாமதிக்காமல் சம்பிரதாயங்களை நிறைவேற்றுவதற்காக அஞ்சல் திணைக்களத்தின் அதிகாரிகளை அழைக்கின்றோம்.
A day like today is always special and important. But what makes it truly remarkable is when we do something that leaves a lasting memory that becomes a part of history. And that's exactly what we have in store for you, ladies and gentlemen. To mark this significant occasion, the Department of Posts is issuing a special first day cover and a stamp today. This is a momentous event, and you all of us, have this rare opportunity to be a part of history in the making. You'll get to witness the long-lasting tradition of the Postal Department in showcasing their support to important events such as this. So, without further ado, let's invite the officials from the Department of Posts to carry out the traditions. Please put your hands together as we welcome Mr. Ruan Satkumara, Postmaster General, Mr. Rajitha K. Ranasinghe, the Deputy Postmaster General Operation, Mr. Sisira Kumara Valavita, the Deputy Postmaster General of Western Province, Mr. L.G.N. De Silva, the Director of the Philatelic Bureau, Ms. Vipulani Piyasena, the Divisional Superintendent of Posts, and Mr. S. Jalathipan, the Publicity Officer of the Philatelic Bureau. Please put your hands together as we also invite the Honorable Manusha Nanyakara, the Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment, along with our Honorable Aravind Kumar, the State Minister of Education. Please give them a warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing history in the making. What a special and precious moment today is. Yes, put your hands together. It's a very special occasion, ladies and gentlemen. A special first day cover and a stamp is being issued right here, right now. What a precious moment. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a special day, a special stamp on the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, this 30th July 2023. Thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies. Let's keep the applause coming, please, ladies and gentlemen. We have made history today.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා තැපැල් දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ නිලධාරී මහත්වරුන්ට සහ අමාත්‍යවරුන් දෙපළට අපේ ස්තුතිය. මිනිස් වෙළඳාම පිටුපස ඇති එක් ප්‍රධාන හේතුවක් වන්නේ දැනුම සහ දැනුම්වත් භාවය නොමැතිකම. එසේම මේ රටේ සමහර දරුවන් සහ තරුණ ප්‍රජාව මිනිස් වෙළඳාමේ ගොදුරක්. ඔවුන් නිසි අධ්‍යාපනය සහ වෘත්තීය පුහුණුව සමග නිවැරදි මඟ පෙන්වීම යටතේ ජීවිතය ගොඩනගා ගන්නේ නම් මිනිස් වෙළඳාමෙහි උගුල්වලට හසු නොවි ගෞරවාන්විත සහ ස්වාධීන පුරවැසියන් ලෙස ඔවුන්ට ජීවත් විය හැකියි. ඒ අනුව මිනිස් වෙළඳාමට අභියෝග කිරීමට අධ්‍යාපනය යනු සවිමත් මෙවලමක්. එසේම ඒ වෙනුවෙන් අධ්‍යාපන ක්ෂේත්‍රයට විශාල කාර්යභාරයක් පැවරී තිබෙනවා. අධ්‍යාපන රාජ්‍ය අමාත්‍ය ගරු අරවින්ද් කුමාර් මහතාණනි, ඔබේ ගෞරවාන්විත සහභාගීත්වය මිනිස් වෙළඳාම මැඩ පැවැත්වීම සඳහා අධ්‍යාපනයේ ඇති වැදගත්කම පිළිබඳව සාක්ෂියක්. මේ සම්භාවනීය සභාව ආමන්ත්‍රණය කරනුවස් ඔබතුමන්ටයි මේ කෙරෙන ගෞරවනීය ආරාධනය.
மனித கடத்தலுக்கு முக்கிய காரணங்களில் ஒன்று அறிவு மற்றும் விழிப்புணர்வு இன்மையாகும். இந்த பிரச்சனையை எதிர்த்து போராடுவதிலும் கடத்தல் பற்றிய எழுத்தறிவு விகிதத்தை அதிகரிப்பதிலும் கல்வி முக்கிய பங்கு வகிக்கிறது. நாம் இதனை நன்கு அறிந்திருந்தால் இத்தகைய குற்றங்களிலிருந்து நம்மையும் நம் சமூகத்தையும் சிறப்பாக பாதுகாக்க முடியும். இந்நிகழ்ச்சியில் அடுத்த உரைக்கான எங்கள் மதிப்பிற்குரிய விருந்தினரை அறிமுகப்படுத்துவது எனது பாரிய பொறுப்பாகும். இன்று அவர் இங்கு வந்திருப்பது இந்த நெருக்கடியான பிரச்சனையை தீர்ப்பதில் கல்வியின் முக்கியத்துவம் பற்றி பேசுவதற்காகவாகும். கல்வி ராஜாங்க அமைச்சர் கௌரவ அரவிந்த் குமார் அவர்களை மேடைக்கு அழைக்கிறோம்.
One of the main reasons behind human trafficking, as we all know, ladies and gentlemen, is the lack of knowledge and awareness. Education plays such a crucial role in combating this issue, and we need to increase the education and literacy rates about human trafficking and how to prevent it. Because when we are well informed, we can better protect ourselves and our communities from such crimes. On that note, it is my great honor to introduce our esteemed guest of honor, Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Honorable Arvind Kumar, the State Minister of Education. Sir, the stage is yours.
Good morning to all of you. Honorable Manisha Nanekara, Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment, Mr. Harsha Jayaratne, the Executive Director of SAFE Foundation, the Postmaster General, the Deputy Postmaster General and his colleagues, all members of the SAFE Foundation team, other civil organization officials who are present here, the officials from the USAID, ladies and gentlemen. My arrival for this important event was a little late. That was due to my long travel from Badul in the morning. I left Badul at 4 a.m. and came down to Colombo to present myself here. I'm sure I'm excused. Touching on the point of human trafficking, this has become one of the easiest way of making money, especially the children, exploiting the children and the teenagers, and also the povertiness. Exploiting the povertiness, this human trafficking has become a well-organized trade globally. And especially in the Asian countries, this is systematically carried on, taking into consideration of the poverty of each country. With regard to Sri Lanka, fortunately, our trafficking, though I'm not trying to say there is no trafficking in human trafficking in Sri Lanka, it is there. It is happening in very many ways. But of course, just we as Sri Lankans, we got to be proud. In comparison with other countries, the trafficking levels or the numbers, we are far better. But still, I'm not trying to say that, I'm not trying to cover, there's absolutely no trafficking in Sri Lanka. Trafficking in Sri Lanka also one of the easiest business. The traffickers systematically have their own ways and means of handling matters, escaping from the law of the country. But of course, I see another reason. Any information to the law enforcement officials has to go from the public. But the public are not willing to do that because of an existing system of law. A witness or an informant, when he provides information, thereafter the consequences faced by witness is unbearable. Our law is very slow. a case takes years and years to conclude in the court of law. So therefore, especially the witness or the people who know about human trafficking do not come forward to provide information. This situation has to be arrested. Unless and otherwise we provide enough security, make matters easier for the informants, we will not be able to gather information from the public to eradicate the human trafficking in Sri Lanka. They are again touching on the point of Safe Foundation. I am delighted. I am glad that the steps taken by them to eradicate human trafficking in Sri Lanka is highly remarkable. It shows the high caliber of the theme of the foundation, getting in touch with various civil organizations, NGOs, and to bring an awareness program or make an awareness among the public. And it's another classic example that this hall is filled with guests. So the ladies and gentlemen who are present here, as a Sri Lankan, as a person against human trafficking, should come forward to pay their attention, pay their contribution to eradicate human trafficking in Sri Lanka. Touching on the point of education, we are far ahead of other countries, especially with our system of free education. There again, I'm not trying to say that there is no dropouts in the schools. I'm not trying to say that 100% of our children get their education. There again, the dropouts in Sri Lanka, the schools, especially in the remote areas, are due to povertiness. So the government is taking every steps to elevate povertiness, introducing various systems and programs to eradicate. By doing that, we will be able to control povertiness, which in turn results in the children going to school. But there again, our law is strong with regard to children going to school and child labor. Child labor is another major problem that we face, not only in Sri Lanka, globally, and that has to be eradicated. Many civil organizations are fighting against child labor, human trafficking, and Safe Foundation is one of them, taking so many measures to do this. But of course, unless and otherwise the public cooperate, we get sufficient information, we will not be able to control this or eradicate it. So to do that, all of us will have to join together, put our hands together and create a new way to eradicate trafficking, human trafficking in Sri Lanka. And then especially illegal migration. Illegal migration is another area which results in human trafficking. Our employment problem, unemployment problem in Sri Lanka drags our youth seeking employment out of Sri Lanka, getting caught to the hands of illegal traffickers with all promises made to the youths. Even children are another victim of their plans and programs. Honorable Manisha Nanayakara, our Minister for Labour and Foreign Employment, is making every effort to find foreign employment to our youths in the most appropriate way, in the legal way, and within the frame of the law. I am personally aware his efforts are very large. His efforts are really, we appreciate his efforts in making legal foreign employment. I have my hats off for him as the colleague parliamentarian. I know the amount of programs and plans with regard to foreign employment he is undertaking. There again, with the human trafficking, the traffickers have their own ways, means of doing it in style. They keep away from the law enforcement officials. And there again, as I told earlier, the informants don't come forward to provide information. That is because of our system in our judiciary. The system in our judiciary has to be reformed. Then we attract witnesses, informants to provide information on such events. And on the other side, the human trafficking in Sri Lanka is very easy because Sri Lanka is an island surrounded right round with the sea. So it's very comfortable, convenient to carry out this human trafficking in Sri Lanka. But of course, though it's happening, we get very little information. We get very little information to the law enforcement authorities. And the law enforcement authorities are doing their best. Maximum ability is being utilized to control the situation. But there again, we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go to control, traffic, this illegal activity. And we as the government, we are making every effort to do that. But one hand cannot do that. Both hands will have to get together to make a noise. So one side the government, on the other side civil societies. With the support, with the help of the civil societies, we will be able to eradicate or control to a very acceptable level the human trafficking in Sri Lanka. Touching on the point of our education, now the Education Ministry, under the guidance of our Education Minister, Honorable Dr. Susil Premajayanta, we are very seriously working on an education reform system. Under the theme STEAM, S-T-E-A-M. The theme of STEAM is S for science, T for technology, E for engineering, A for arts, and M for maths. So this new theme, STEAM, will be introduced from grade 1 to the children, because now of course this technology, science, engineering is taught to the children at the secondary level. But with the intended reform in the education system, we will be introducing this to grade 1 onwards. But of course, the system will be suiting the children at various levels. As they bypass their grades, the system will also similarly made stronger, and therefore when they reach the advanced levels, ordinary levels, advanced levels, they are fully prepared in this theme called STEAM. I'm sure this will be introduced very soon by the Ministry of Education. And we are also in the system of reforming by introducing more zonal offices right around the country, by introducing more division education officers, by increasing the teachers, and also now we are very strongly working on the foreign students coming to Sri Lanka to get their degrees in our universities. Our universities are quite capable, well equipped. We have very able and efficient lecturers and professors in our universities. By doing this, not only control our students going abroad to study, we want to invite foreign students to come to Sri Lanka and get their higher education in our Sri Lankan universities. The standards of Sri Lankan universities are very high compared to other universities globally. But of course, in the past we have been not able to attract them. Now we are very seriously working on that. Then the school dropouts by the children. They are again, that is linked with our economy, the povertiness that prevails in the country. By doing that, the dropouts are there. The parents are unable to take care of their children's education. With the dropouts, or those who absent themselves from attending schools, get caught to the traffickers, get caught to various illegal elements, and therefore the trafficking becomes a very easy operation, as I told earlier. Let us join together, put our hands together to eradicate this. And if we control this and eradicate the human trafficking in Sri Lanka, I am sure we are always above others, but we will be far ahead of others, and then we can be very proud Sri Lankans wherever we go. Recently, I was on a tour organized by the UNESCO in Nepal. It was a conference organized for the education ministers in the South Asian region. I represented my minister at this conference. And then on the following day, I had an interview with the education minister of Nepal. And when I said, we provide free education from grade 1 up to the degrees, he was surprised. He was not prepared to believe it. But I said, this is the system that we are introduced in Sri Lanka. Our children get free education. Thereby, the education level, the knowledge, the efficiency of the children are far ahead of others. And then he asked, how is Sri Lanka able to do that? Spending millions of rupees of money in providing free education. I have to explain. I said, we give importance to two matters in Sri Lanka. One is the education sector, other one the health sector. Of course, he said, we will not be able to do that in the near future. It may take many, many years. We have not even thought of that. I was proud to be there as a Sri Lankan, proud to say what's happening in Sri Lanka. I'm sure there are very many important events to take place today. My long speech can disturb it, can be a disturbance, disturb it. Therefore, I as State Minister of Education, I can assure everyone all are here that we are marching towards a achievable goal to develop, to improve the educational standards in Sri Lanka. And I thank the SAFE Foundation for their invitation, for my presence here and to deliver a tiny speech and to bring an awareness of our educational reform system that we intend to introduce in the near future. Thank you so much for everyone who are here to make this occasion a success. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together once more for our guest of honor, the Honorable Arvind Kumar, the State Minister of Education. Thank you very much for highlighting the challenges and also your commitment to eradicating human trafficking in Sri Lanka. Let's give him one more round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
සම්භවනීය අමුත්තනි මේ අතරතුරේම ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් ඔය සූදානම් කර ඇති සංග්‍රහයත් භුක්ති විඳින ලෙස අපි ආරාධනා කරනවා. ලාභාපේක්ෂාව සහ ක්‍රූරත්වය විසින් වෙලාගත් මිනිස් වෙළඳාම මනුෂ්‍යත්වය කොහේ හෝ තැනකදී අමතක කර දමා තිබෙනවා. අනෙකා වෙත ඇති සහකම්පනය සහ ආදරය දියකර හැර තිබෙනවා. ඒත් කලාවට හැකි මනුෂ්‍ය හදවත් එක් කරන්නට සහකම්පනයේ සියුම් තරංග හදවතින් හදවතට ස්පර්ශ කරවන්නට. එයින් මනුෂ්‍යත්වයේ කලාත්මක ප්‍රකාශය සමගින් සමාධිගත වෙමින් දයාව කැටිකොටගෙන එන්න අපි ආදරයෙන් බැඳෙමු. රංගනය සමග ඒකාත්මික වෙමු. විදුර ඩයස්ගේ ගේය පද ආදිත්‍යා වැලිවත්ත ක්‍රිෂාදී රණතුංග හෂාන් දුලංජන සියුමිනී ඕපයන්ගි ජෙරෝම් පෙරේරාගේ හඬ වියමනෙහි නාද සංගීත කණ්ඩායමේ තනුවෙහි සහ මුද්‍රිකා නර්තන ඇකඩමියේ භාව ප්‍රකාශනයේ සංකලනයක් මේ.
கலை உண்மையிலேயே அற்புதமான ஒரு விடயம். அதற்கு எல்லையோ மொழியோ தெரியாது. ஆனாலும் மக்களின் இதயங்களை ஆன்மாவையும் சிரமமின்றி தொடும் ஆற்றல் அதற்கு உண்டு. இன்று கல்விக்கான ஒரு பயனுள்ள தளமான கலையின் திறனை வெளிப்படுத்தும் ஒரு சிறப்பு நிகழ்ச்சியை நாங்கள் கொண்டு வந்துள்ளோம். மனித கடத்தல் என்பது பிறரிடம் பச்சாதாபமும் இரக்கமும் இல்லாத நபர்களால் நடத்தப்படும் கொடூரமான குற்றமாகும். எங்கோ ஒரு காலத்தில் ஒருவர் மீது ஒருவர் கொண்டிருந்த அன்பையும் அக்கறையையும் இழந்து சொத்துக்கள் மீது அதிக கவனம் செலுத்துகிறோம். ஆனால் இந்த செயலின் மூலம் அந்த அன்பையும் புரிதலையும் மீண்டும் வெளிப்படுத்த முடியும் என நம்புகிறோம். விதுர டயஸின் உணர்ச்சிகரமான வரிகள் ஆதித்ய வெளிவத்த கிருஷாதி ரணதுங்க ஹசன் துலஞ்சனா சியுமினி ஓபயாங்கி ஜெரோம் பெரேரா ஆகியோரின் பலமான குரல்களுடன் நாத இசைக்குழுவின் மயக்கும் இசையுடன் முத்ரிகா டான்ஸ் அகாடமி அற்புதமான நடன நிகழ்ச்சியும் இடம்பெற உள்ளது. இதனை கண்டு கழிக்குமாறு கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம். எனவே பச்சாதாபம், அன்பு மற்றும் இரக்கத்தின் முக்கியத்துவத்தை நமக்கு நினைவூட்டும் இதில் லயக்க தயாராகுங்கள். இந்த தாக்கத்தை ஏற்படுத்தும் செயலை உருவாக்க அனைவரும் ஒன்றிணைந்ததற்காக பாரிய கரகோஷங்களை வழங்குவோம். வாருங்கள் நாம் காதலில் விழலாம்.
Ladies and gentlemen, just to note, there are snack packs on your table, so please do feel free to snack on them and eat them, enjoy as we continue with the event. Bon appetit. And the time has come to speak about the power of art. Art is truly amazing because it knows no borders, no language, yet it has the power to speak directly into our hearts and souls. So today we have a special performance that showcases the incredible potential of art as an effective platform for education. Human trafficking is a heinous crime carried out by individuals who lack empathy and compassion. Somewhere along the way, we seem to have lost the love and care that we once had for one another, becoming more focused on material possessions. Through this act, we hope to reignite that love and understanding with emotional lyrics by Vidura Dias, The powerful voices of Aditya Velivatta, Krishadi Ranatunga, Hashan Dulanjana, Suyumini Opeyangi, Jerome Pereira, and the mesmerizing music by Nada Music Band. And to add to the magic, an amazing dance performance by Mudrika Dance Academy will complete this powerful showcase. So, get ready to be moved, get ready to be inspired by this extraordinary performance that reminds us of the importance of empathy, love, and compassion. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. The time has come. Let's fall in love.
මං හිතන්නේ ආදරය ඔයිට වඩා හොඳ අත්පුලසන්නාදයකින් අපිට දක්වන්නට පුළුවන්. බොහොම ස්තුතියි. එන්න අපි ආදරයෙන් බැඳෙමු. ඒ ආදරයත් සමග මුසුවන ගෞරවය සෑම මිනිසෙකුටම ලබා දෙමු. එවිට අපි හැමෝගේම ප්‍රාර්ථනාවන් මල්පල ගැන්වේවි. මීළඟට ඊටම තීරණාත්මක මාතෘකාවක් වෙතයි අප සැමගේ අවධානය අපි යොමු කරන්නේ. ඒ කම්කරු සහ සංක්‍රමණික සේවා අංශ වෙත. මේ ක්ෂේත්‍රවල මිනිස් වෙළඳාම සම්බන්ධ විශාල ප්‍රවණතාවක් පෙන්වනවා. එය ඊටාම අවාසනාවන්ත තත්වයක්. කෙසේ වුවත් මෙම අංශද්වයම එකම අමාත්‍යාංශයක් යටතේ පැවතීම මදක් හෝ අස්වැසිල්ලක් ගෙන දෙන්නක්. ඒ අන් කිසිවක් නිසා නොවේ. එම අංශ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඍජුව හා පළදායි ලෙස එකම අමාත්‍යාංශයක් යටතේ කටයුතු කළ හැකි බැවින්. එවන් පසුබිමක එම අමාත්‍යවරයාට ඊටම බහරදූර කාර්ය සමුදායක් සිදු කළව යුතු ඇති බව අපට පසක් වෙනවා. එවන් අවස්ථාවක එවැනි සංකීර්ණ ගැටලු වලට මුහුණ දීමත් සුළුපටු කාර්යයක් නොවේ. එම වගකීම තම උරමත දරාගත් අධිෂ්ඨානශීලී නායකත්වය අද මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රධාන ආරාධිතයන් වශයෙන් සහභාගී වීමත් අපට ඊටාම ගෞරවයක්. එසේනම් කරුණාකර කම්කරු හා විදේශ රැකියා අමාත්‍ය මනුෂ්‍ය නානායක්කාර මහතා වේදිකාව වෙත ගෞරව පූර්වකව පිළිගන්නට අප හා එක්වන්න.
இந்த கலை நிகழ்வில் ஈடுபட்ட கலைஞர்கள் அனைவருக்கும் வாழ்த்துக்களும் பாராட்டுகளும். இப்போது தொழிலாளர் துறை மற்றும் புலம்பெயர்ந்த தொழிலாளர்கள் துறை என்பவை பற்றி பேசலாம். இத்துறைகளில் துரதிர்ஷ்டவசமாக கடத்தல் தொடர்பான சம்பவங்கள் அதிக அளவில் இடம்பெறுகின்றன. இது நம் கவனத்தை ஈர்க்கும் பாரிய பிரச்சனையாகும். அதிர்ஷ்டவசமாக இந்த இரண்டு துறைகளும் ஒரே அமைச்சின் கீழ் காணப்படுகின்றது. அதாவது ஒரே கூரையின் கீழ் நேரடியாகவும் திறம்படவும் நடத்தப்படுகின்றன. எனினும் இதில் அமைச்சரின் மகத்தான பொறுப்பை நாம் மறந்துவிடக்கூடாது. இது போன்ற ஒரு பெரிய பிரச்சனையை சமாளிப்பது சாதாரண விடயம் அல்ல. இன்று அந்த உறுதியான தலைவரை எங்கள் பிரதம விருந்தினராக கொண்டிருப்பதில் நாங்கள் உண்மையிலேயே பெருமைப்படுகின்றோம். தொழிலாளர் மற்றும் வெளிநாட்டு வேலைவாய்ப்பு அமைச்சர் கௌரவ மனுஷ நாணயக்கார அவர்களை வரவேற்க என்னுடன் நீங்களும் இணைந்து கொள்ளுங்கள்.
It is time to talk about the labor and migrant workers sector. These areas unfortunately see a high number of incidents related to trafficking, and it is a serious concern. Both these sectors fall under one ministry, which means they can be dealt with directly and effectively under one roof. However, it is an immense responsibility that falls on the shoulders of our minister, because it is no small task to tackle such a mammoth issue. So today, we are truly honored to have that determined leader as our chief guest. Please, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the Honorable Manusha Nanayakkara, the Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment.
ආදරයෙන් එක්වෙමු. අයිබෝවන්, වණක්කම්, assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today not just as Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment of Sri Lanka, but as a fellow human being, deeply moved by the cause that brings us together on the significant day. Today, we commemorate World Anti-Human Trafficking Day, the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. Our theme for this year, reach every victim of trafficking, leave no one behind, is a powerful call to action that resonates with our collective responsibility to humanity. I express my deepest gratitude to the SAFE Foundation for organizing this event for over 15 years. This esteemed organization has been a beacon of hope for marginalized and vulnerable communities and children. Their tireless efforts have provided immediate relief and fostered long-term resilience in adversity. The Empowering Civil Society Organizations to Combat Human Trafficking, ECCCT projects, supporting by US aid, is a testament of their commitment. This 5-year project, spanning 12 districts in 6 provinces, is a shining example of a power of collaboration and partnership. Human trafficking is a grave violation of human rights. It is a crime that shatters lives, breaks families, and undermines that social fabric of our communities. It is a crime that exploits that most vulnerable among us, often targeting those already marginalized and disadvantaged. It is a crime that we as a society cannot and will not tolerate. According to the latest data from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, an estimated 25 million people worldwide are victims of human trafficking. Asia, our home, is not assumed is the menace. The International Labour Organization estimates that 11.7 million people in Asia and Pacific are victims of forced labor, a form of human trafficking. In Sri Lanka, we are not untouched by this global issue. However, we are committed to combating this crime. Sri Lanka has criminalized trafficking in person and is implementing a 5-year national action plan to prevent and combat human trafficking through its National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. Ministry of Labour and Foreign Employment and the SLBFE are active members of this task force headed by the Ministry of Defence. We are also partner of the Bali process on people smuggling, trafficking in persons, and related transnational crimes, since this needs regional and global interventions and initiatives on face these challenges. Our mission is clear: to reach every victim of trafficking and leaves no one behind. This is not just a slogan, but a commitment that requires us to act with urgency and determination. It demands that we strengthen our laws, enhance our enforcement mechanisms, and improve our victim support services. It calls for us to foster a culture of respect and dignity for all, where everyone is valued and protected. As the Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment, I am committed to ensure that our labour and employment policies are robust and responsive to the needs of our people. We have taken drastic measures through the recent amendments to the SLBFE Act and the special provisions to the National Labour Migration Policy to prevent this crime and to protect the migrant workers as well as surveyors. We have working tirelessly to create safe and dignified employment opportunities, both at home and abroad, to reduce the vulnerability of the citizens to trafficking. But the government needs help to do this. Combating human trafficking requires a whole of government and whole of society approach. Collaborating with organizations like the SAFE Foundation, our government has worked tirelessly to prevent human trafficking, protect victims, and prosecute perpetrators. So we need the active participation of all civil society organizations, trade unions, development partners, and every citizen. We need to work together, hand in hand, to raise awareness, educate and empower our communities, and provide support to the victims, survivors. Today, as we stand against human trafficking, remember the victims. Let us remember their courage and resilience. Let us remember that they are not just victims but saviors. And let us commit to doing everything in our power to ensure they survive and they thrive. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate our collective responsibility to reach every victim of trafficking and leave no one behind. Let us stand together, unite in our resolve to combat human trafficking. Let us work together with compassion and determination to create a world where every individual is free from exploitations and can live with dignity and respect. Thank you. ආදරෙන් අපි එක්වෙමු කියලා හදවතට දැනුණු වචන ටික. මේ මිනිස් වෙළඳාම නතර කරන්න මෙතන ඉන්න සභාවේ සියලු දෙනා බොහෝ සෙයින් වෙහෙසවද්දී රජයක් ඉදියට ගත හැකි සියලු ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගනිද්දී අපි මේ වෙනුවෙන් පෙනී සිටින අපේ විශේෂයෙන්ම අපේ විශේෂ කාර්යසාධක බලකායට ඒ වගේම මේ වෙනුවෙන් පෙනී සිටින සියලුම දැනුවත් කිරීම වෙනුවෙන් කටයුතු කරන සේව් ෆවුන්ඩේෂන් ඇතුළු සියලු ආයතනවලට මම ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා. අපි මෙවර ටිප් වාර්තාවේ trafficking in person වාර්තාවේ අපි ඒ ස්ථානය රැකගන්න අඩුම තරමේ ඉස්සෙල්ලා හිටපු දැන ඉඳලා අඩියක් ඉස්සරහට එන්න ආපස්සට නොයා අපිට මේ වගේ අමාරුම අවස්ථාවක ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න සහයෝගය දීපු සියලු ආයතනවලට අපේ ස්තුතිය පළ කරන්නත් මේ වෙලාවේ මම අවස්ථාවක් කරගන්නවා. ඒ වගේම මේ දැනුවත් වීම අපි හැමෝම එකතු වෙලා හැමෝම සිද්ධ කරනවා. නමුත් මේකෙදී අපි බලා මුහුණ දෙන අත්දැකීම් දෙකක් මම මෙතනදී ඔබත් සමග බෙදා හදා ගන්න තීන්දුව කළා. ගාල්ලේදී එක වෙලාවක මගේ නම විකුණලා සල්ලි එකතු කරන ජාවාරමක් මට අහු වෙනවා. මේට අවුරුදු ගණනාවකට ඉස්සෙල්ලා රට යවනවා කියලා. මම පැමිණිල්ලක් කරා මේක ගැන හොයා බලන්න අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්න කියලා. අපි අත්අඩංගුවටත් ගන්න උපාය දූතයන් යොදලත් වැඩ කටයුතු කළා. මේට අවුරුදු 6කට විතර ඉස්සෙල්ලා. ගේ මාස දෙකකට ඉස්සෙල්ලා මාව උසාවිය විසින් වරෙන්තු කළා. ඒ පැමිණිල්ලට අදාළව නිසි දිනේදී මට පැමිණිල්ලට යන්න බැරි වෙච්ච නිසා කට උත්තරයක් දෙන්න. මේ අධික රාජකාරී කටයුතු නිසා. පස්සේ මම ගිහිල්ලා වරෙන්තුව ඉවත් කරගෙන මගේ කට උත්තරය දුන්නා. හැබැයි උසාවියේදී මගෙන් ප්‍රශ්න කරේ විත්තියේ නීතිඥවරයා මම පැමිණිල්ල දාපු එක වැරද්දක් විදියට. මාගෙන් ප්‍රශ්න කරලා මේ පැමිණිල්ල තවදුරටත් මෙවැනි පැමිණිලි නොදැමීමට මාව විත්තියට හේතු කරන ආකාරයේ කටයුතු කෙරුණා. නමුත් එහෙම විත්තියට හේතු කරාට අපි මේ ගමන නතර කරන්නේ නැහැ කියන එකත් අපි කියනවා. එහෙම අපිව නතර කරන්න බෑ. ඒකයි අද වෙනකොට විදේශ සේවා නියුක්ති කාර්යාංශයේ දවසකට වැටලීම් ඉතාමත්ම විශාල සංඛ්‍යාවක් සිදු කරන ගමන් පොලිසියත් CID එකත් අපිට ඒ සහයෝගය ලබා දෙනවා. ඉතාමත්ම විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් මේ සම්බන්ධ වෙන අය මේ ට්‍රැෆිකින් කරන අයව අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්න කටයුතු කරන්නේ. 2 ස්ටෙෆනි මේ කතාව දන්නවා. ස්ටෙෆනිගේ ගෙදර වැඩ කරපු කාන්තාවක් පිටරට යනවා. ගියාම ඇයව ඕමානයට අරගෙන යන්න දුබායි හරහා ගෙනියන්න ගියාම මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් සියපු සියලු කණ්ඩායම් අපි ක්‍රමානුකූලව ස්ටෙෆනීගේ දවස්වල කලබලව හිටියා. හැබැයි අපි ක්‍රමානුකූලව ඔහුගේ ගුවන් ගමන් තහනම් පනවලා ලංකාවට එනකොට අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම සියල්ල සූදානම් කරලා අපි ඒ කාන්තාවන් මේ රටට ගෙන ආවා වගේම ඒ පුද්ගලයා අපි අත්අඩංගුවට ගත්තා. පුද්ගලයා අත්අඩංගුවට ගත්තාම දෙවනි දවසේ අධිකරණ ඉදිරිපත් කරනකොට පිටරට ඉඳලා ෆ්ලයිට් එකක් බුක් කරලා ගියපු අනිත්තර කාන්තාව වර දැන් ගිහිල්ලා හිර වෙලා හිටපු කාන්තාව මේ කාන්තාව රාශියක් හිර වෙලා හිටපු තැන ටික දින යාවේ අර කාන්තාව ටික ෆ්ලයිට් එකකින් කොළඹට ඇවිල්ලා වෑන් වලින් උසාවියට ඇවිල්ලා උසාවිය ගාවදී අපිට විරුද්ධව කතා කරනවා අපි ගියේ අපේ කැමැත්තෙන් කියලා. සල්ලි ඕන තරම් විසි කරන්න ඒ මාෆියාවට තියෙනවා. ඕන තරම් වියදම් කරන්න ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න රටේ ප්‍රමුඛතම නීතිඥයෝ ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න ඒ අයට හයිය තියෙනවා. අවසානයේදී අපි ඇමති වුණත් රජය වුණත් අපේ හයිය සමහර වෙලාවට මදි ඒ ජාවාරම්කරුවන් එක්ක හැපෙන්න සමහර වෙලාවට. නමුත් අපි නතර කළේ නෑ. අපි ගත යුතු තීන්දුව ගත යුතු නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම දිගටම කරනවා. හැබැයි මේ සඳහා අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ දැනුවත් කිරීම. නීති තද කිරීම අපි කරලා තියෙනවා. විදේශ සේවා නියුක්ති කාර්යාංශ පනත මම කිව්වා වගේ ශක්තිමත් කරලා තියෙනවා. ගුවන් තොටුපළේ CID එකත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා අපේ විශේෂ ඒකකයේ සමග එකතු වෙලා අපි අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම සහ පරීක්ෂා කිරීම සියල්ල සිද්ධ කරනවා. නමුත් පිටරට ගුවන් තොටුපළ හරහා යන නැව් මගින් යන බෝට්ටු මගින් යන සියලුම මිනිසුන් යන්නේ දැනුවත්ව අපි ට්‍රැෆිකින් වෙනවා කියලා දැනගෙන. එක්කෙනෙක්වත් නොදැනුවත්වම යන්නේ නැහැ. හැමෝම දන්නවා තමන් බොරු කියලා යන්නේ. මේක ට්‍රැෆිකින් කියන එක දන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි බොරුවක් කියලා යන්නේ කියලා දන්නවා. ගුවන් තොටුපළට ඇවිල්ලා කියන්නේ යන්නේ ඉන්දියාවේ වන්දනා ගමනක්. යන්නේ ඩුබායි වලට මේකප් බඩු ගේන්න. යන්නේ ඩුබායි වලට සැලෝන් එකට. එහෙම කියලා පිටරට යන්න ගිහිල්ලා තමන්ගේ ජීවිතය අසරණ කරගන්නවා. පුංචි අම්මගේ දුව හම්බෙන්න යන්නේ කොයිතරම්නම් බොරු ටිකක් පාඩම් කරලා එවනවද? ගුවන් තොටුපළෙන් හම්බෙන සියලු දෙනා සහ නීති විරෝධීව ගිහිල්ලා අනාථ වෙන බහුතරයක් මේක දැන දෙනයි මේක සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. එතකොට එහෙනම් දැනුවත් කරලත් හරිද? ඊට එහාට ගිහිල්ලා මේ සමාජයේ තියෙන මේ ප්‍රශ්නය විසඳන්නටත් අපි කටයුතු කරන්න ඕනේ. මොකද අපි අහුවෙන්න එපා කියලා විදේශ සේවා නියුක්ති කාර්යාංශය අපි කැම්පේන් එකක් පටන් ගත්තා. මිනිස්සුන්ට මේ වලට අහුවෙන්න එපා කියලා. අපි උතුරු නැගෙනහිර විශේෂයෙන්ම ටාගට් කරලා දෙමළ භාෂාව කතා කරන අය විශේෂයෙන්ම ටාගට් කරලා අහුවෙන්න එපා කියන එක අපි කිව්වා. දැන් අපි කියනවා සතුටින් රට යන්න. සතුටින් රට ගිහින් එන්න කියලා. ඇයි? මේ හිතේ සතුට gedara සතුට රැක ගන්න ඕන නිසා. අහුවෙන්න එපා කියලා කොච්චර කිව්වත් අහුවෙනවා. දැන දැනමයි අහුවෙන්නේ. මං හැමතැනදීම කියන දේ මේ රටේ මිනිස්සු මෙතන විදේශිකයෝ හිටියත් කියනවා කැලණියේ නාග ධාතු වලට අහුවෙන කෑගල්ලේ පැණි වලට අහුවෙන මිනිස්සුයි තවමත් ඉන්නේ. ඒ නිසා අපි කොතරම් අහුවෙන්න එපා කියලා කිව්වත් මිනිස්සු හෙටටත් අහුවෙනවාමයි. ඒ නිසායි අධ්‍යාපනයේ වෙනසක් සිදු කළ යුතුම වෙන්නේ. මම මේ USAID ආයතනයේ ප්‍රධානිය සමග කතා කර හිටියේ. ඔහු ඇහුවේ මීළඟට රටේ වඩා වැදගත් ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ මොකක්ද වෙනස් කරන්න ඕනි අත දෙන්න ඕනි කියලා. මං එතුමට කිව්වේ මිනිසුන්ගේ මොළ වෙනස් කරන්න, ඒ අයව විවෘත මනසින් හිතලා තීන්දුව කරන්න, අධ්‍යාපනය වෙනස් කරන්න, ප්‍රයිමරි ලෙවල් එකේ ඉඳලම දරුවන්ගේ මනස වෙනස් කරන්න කටයුතු නොකර මේ මොන විදියට අපි අහුවෙන්න එපා කිව්වත් අහුවෙන, ඒ වගේම දියුණු කරන්න බැරි වෙන විදියටම මිනිස්සු කොටු ඇතුලේ ඉන්න තරමටම මේක සිද්ධ කරන්න බෑ. ඒ නිසා මිනිස් මනස වෙනස් කරන්න මම ඒ දවස්වල ඔලු හොදමු කියලා කිව්වහම හැමෝම hina වුණා. දැන් ඔලු හොදන්නටම අවශ්‍යයි මේ රට ගොඩ ගන්නට නම්. බොහොමත්ම ස්තුතියි හැම දෙනාටම. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your powerful words, ladies and gentlemen. That was our chief guest. Thank you for sharing your vision on how to eradicate human trafficking as well as creating safe and dignified employment opportunities. A true leader with the motto, leave no one behind. Please put your hands together for our chief guest, the Honorable Manusha Nanyakara, Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment.
බොහොම ස්තුතියි අමාත්‍යතුමනි ඔබතුමන්ගේ දැක්ම ඒ ආකාරයෙන්ම ඉෂ්ට කරන්නට අවශ්‍ය ශක්තිය ධෛර්යය ලැබේවා කියා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා. අපි සැමගේම වගකීමත් එයමයි. ඉතින් සම්භාවනීය අමුත්තනි දැන් අපි එළඹ සිටින්නේ අද වැඩසටහනේ සුවිශේෂී අංගයක් වෙත. සමාජය වෙලාගත් මිනිස් වෙළඳාම නම් ගැටලුව නොසලකා හරින බොහොමයක් දෙන අතර පුරවැසියන් කිහිප දෙනෙකු තම කැපවීමෙන් සහ නොනවතින උත්සාහයෙන් මිනිස් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහිව නැගී සිටින්නේ යහපත් ලෝකයක් නිර්මාණය කිරීමේ අදිෂ්ඨානයෙන්. ඔවුන්ගේ ඒ අප්‍රතිහත මැදිහත්වීම අගය කරන්නට මහඟු අවස්ථාවක් අද වැඩසටහන තුල සලසා දී තිබෙනවා. ඒ අනුව අද මිනිස් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහි ජාත්‍යන්තර දිනය සනිටුවන් කරන අවස්ථාවේ මනුෂ්‍යත්වයේ වටිනාකම් නැවත පසක් කර දෙමින් ඒ අසහාය චරිත ඇගීමට ලක් කිරීම ඔවුන්ගේ දායකත්වයට ගෞරව කරනු සඳහා වන හෘදයාංගම අභිනයක්. එපමණක් නොවේයි ඔවුන්ගේ කාර්යභාරය සඳහා දිරිමත් කරමින් ලෝකයට ආදර්ශයක් ලබා දෙන අවස්ථාවක් මේ. මේ විශිෂ්ටත්වය ඇගීමේ සම්මාන සඳහා ජයග්‍රාහකයන් තෝරා ගැනීමේ ක්‍රියාවලිය ඊටම පාරදෘශ්‍ය සහ වගකීම් සහගත ලෙස සිදුවක්. පළමුව ප්‍රධාන ධාරාවේ මාධ්‍ය සහ සමාජ මාධ්‍ය හරහා නාම යෝජනා කැඳවුණු ලැබුණා. ඒ සඳහා පුද්ගලයන් සහ සංවිධාන වලින් ඇදහිය නොහැකි තරමේ ප්‍රතිචාර ලැබුණු බව අප ප්‍රකාශ කළ යුතුමයි. අනතුරුව විනිසුරු මණ්ඩලයක් විසින් මෙම අයදුම්පත් ඊටම සූක්ෂම ලෙස ඇගීමට ලක් කරමින් විශිෂ්ටයන් தோராகனு லැබුවා.
நன்றி திரு மனுஷ நாணயக்கார் அவர்களே. இப்போது இந்த நிகழ்வின் மிக முக்கியமான பகுதியான விருது வழங்கும் விழாவிற்குள் நுழைகிறோம். பலர் அழுத்தமான பிரச்சனைகளுக்கு கண்மூடித்தனமாக இருக்கும் உலகில் தன்னலமின்றி மற்றவர்களின் வாழ்க்கைக்காக தங்கள் வாழ்க்கையை அர்ப்பணித்த சில விதிவிலக்கான நபர்களும் எப்போதும் இருந்து கொண்டேதான் இருக்கிறார்கள். உலகை மற்றவர்களுக்கு சிறந்த இடமாக மாற்ற அவர்கள் ஆபத்துக்களுக்கும் முகம் கொடுத்தும் அயராது போராடுகிறார்கள். இருப்பினும் அவர்களின் முயற்சிகள் பெரும்பாலும் கவனிக்கப்படாமலேயே போகின்றன. எனவே இந்த பரிசளிப்பு விழாவை நடத்த வேண்டும் என்று ஏற்பாட்டாளர்கள் முடிவெடுத்தனர். மனித கடத்தலுக்கு எதிரான போராட்டத்தில் பாடுபட்ட மாவீரர்களின் முன்மாதிரியான செயற்பாடுகளை கௌரவிப்பது இதயபூர்வமானதாகும். அவர்கள்தான் உண்மையான ஹீரோக்கள். இன்று நாம் அவர்களுக்கு தகுதியான கலங்கரை விளக்கமாக பிரகாசிக்கிறோம். நமது உலகத்தை பாதுகாப்பான மற்றும் அதிக இரக்கமுள்ள இடமாக மாற்றுவதற்கான அவர்களின் இடைவிடாத அர்ப்பணிப்புக்கு நமது பாராட்டுக்களையும் நன்றிகளையும் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றோம். இவ்விழா அவர்களின் மகத்தான முயற்சிகளை அங்கீகரிப்பதற்காக மட்டுமல்லாமல் இந்த முக்கியமான பயணத்தில் இணைய ஏனையவர்களை ஊக்குவிக்கும் அதே வேளையில் அவர்களின் உன்னதமான பணியையும் தொடர ஊக்குவிக்கும். இந்த மதிப்புமிக்க விருதுகளுக்கான வெற்றியாளர்களை தேர்ந்தெடுக்கும் செயல்முறைக்கு உங்களை அழைத்துச் செல்கிறோம். முதலாவது EOIக்கள், முக்கிய ஊடகங்கள், அச்சு ஊடகங்கள் மற்றும் சமூக ஊடகங்கள் மூலம் தமது விருப்புகளை வெளிப்படுத்த சந்தர்ப்பம் வழங்கப்பட்டது. விளம்பரங்களுக்கு பதிலளிக்கும் விதமாக தனிநபர்கள் மற்றும் நிறுவனங்கள் தங்கள் நம்ப முடியாத பங்களிப்புகளை வழங்க முன்வந்தனர். பின்னர் தேர்வு செயல்முறைக்காக விண்ணப்பங்கள் சுயாதீன நிபுணர் குழுவுக்கு அனுப்பப்பட்டன. இவர்களின் சமர்ப்பிப்பையும் முழுமையாக மதிப்பீடு செய்ய தங்கள் நேரத்தையும் நிபுணத்துவத்தையும் வழங்கினர். அத்தகைய சிறந்த செயற்பாடுகள் மூலம் வெற்றியாளர்களை தேர்ந்தெடுக்கும் கடினமான பணி அவர்களுக்கு வழங்கப்பட்டது.
We now come to one of the most significant parts of this event, the award ceremony. In a world where many tend to turn a blind eye on pressing issues, there are always a few exceptional individuals who selflessly put others' lives before their own. They take risks and fight tirelessly to make the world a better place for others. Many times, these efforts go unnoticed. However, the organizers have made a special decision to hold this award ceremony. It is a heartfelt gesture to honor the exemplary contributions made by these unsung heroes in the battle against human trafficking. They are, ladies and gentlemen, the true heroes. And today, we shine a well-deserved spotlight on them. Let's show them our appreciation and gratitude for their relentless commitment to making our world a safer and more compassionate place. This ceremony is not only meant to recognize their tremendous efforts, but also to encourage them to continue their noble work whilst inspiring others to join this crucial cause. A little bit about the selection process. Through the process of selecting the winners for these prestigious awards, first the EOI's expression of interests were called out through mainstream media, print media, and social media. In response to the advertisements, the individuals and organizations came forward with their incredible contributions. Then, the applications were sent to an independent panel of experts for selection process. These judges dedicated their time and their expertise to thoroughly evaluate each and every single submission. They had the tough job of choosing the winners amongst such outstanding entries.
සාධාරණ සහ අපක්ෂපාතී තීන්දුවක් සහතික කරනුවස් අද දින දක්වා විනිශ්චය මණ්ඩලය කවුරුන්දැයි අප හෙළි කළේ නැහැ. නමුත් අපගේ විනිශ්චය මණ්ඩලය හඳුනා ගැනීමේ මොහොත දැන් එළඹ තිබෙනවා. දර්ශන්
நியாயமான மற்றும் பாரபட்சமற்ற தீர்ப்புகளை உறுதிப்படுத்துவதற்காக இதனை தெரிவு செய்தவர்களை இன்று வரை அறிவிக்கவில்லை. ஆனால் இப்போது அவர்களை வெளிப்படுத்த வேண்டிய நேரம் இதுவாகும். இந்த உன்னத பணியில் தன்னார்வத்துடன் ஒத்துழைப்பு வழங்கிய எமது மதிப்பிற்குரிய தீர்ப்பாளர்களை வரவேற்பதில் என்னுடன் நீங்களும் இணைந்து கொள்ளுங்கள்.
In order to ensure a fair and unbiased verdict, the judges remained hidden until today. So now the time has come to reveal them. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our esteemed judges. Please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. They had such a tough task. Thank you.
Professor Dharmakirti Sriranjan, Department of Mass Media, Sri Pali Campus, University of Colombo, Sri Lanka. Miss Janaha Selvaras, Attorney at Law and Senior Lecturer, Open University of Sri Lanka. Senior Lecturer in Mass Media, Sri Pali Campus, University of Colombo, Vevala, Horana. Dr. Kaushalya Aviratna, Attorney at Law, Academic Coordinator and Lecturer, Center for the Study of Human Rights, Faculty of Law, University of Colombo.
මිනිස් ජාවාරමට එරෙහි සටනේ විශිෂ්ටයන් හඳුනා ගැනීමේ සහ සැමරීමේ උදාර කාර්යයට ස්වේච්ඡාවෙන් එක්වීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපේ විශේෂ ස්තුතිය විනිශ්චය මණ්ඩලයට අපි උණුසුම් හෘදයාංගම අත්පොළ සන්නාදයක් ඔවුන් වෙනුවෙන් ලබා දෙමු. දැන් අපි එළඹෙන්නේ විශිෂ්ටතා සම්මාන ප්‍රදානයට. සම්මාන ප්‍රදානය සඳහා වේදිකාවට ඉතාම ගෞරවයෙන් ආරාධනා කර සිටිනවා අද දින අපගේ ප්‍රධාන ආරාධිත ගරු කම්කරු හා විදේශ රැකියා අමාත්‍ය මනෝෂ නානායක්කාර මැතිතුමන්ට, ඒ වගේම ගරු අධ්‍යාපන රාජ්‍ය අමාත්‍ය අරවින්ද් කුමාර් මැතිතුමන්ට, USAID ආයතනයේ ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ සංවර්ධන සහ ව්‍යාපෘති සංවේදන උපදේශක ජේම්ස් රෙන්ඩල් මහතාට සහ සේෆ් පදනමේ විධායක අධ්‍යක්ෂ හර්ෂ ජයරත්න මහත්මයාට.
இவ்விருது வழங்கும் விழாவின் மிகவும் மதிப்புமிக்க தருணத்திற்கான நேரம் இது. தகுதியான வெற்றியாளர்களுக்கு விருதுகளை வழங்குவதற்காக கௌரவப்படுத்துவதற்காகவும் பின்வரும் மதிப்பிற்குரிய விருந்தினர்களை மேடைக்கு மரியாதையுடன் அழைப்பதில் நாங்கள் மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகின்றோம். கௌரவ மனுஷ நாணயக்கார தொழிலாளர் மற்றும் வெளிநாட்டு வாய்ப்பு அமைச்சர், கௌரவ அரவிந்த் குமார கல்வி ராஜாங்க அமைச்சர், திரு ஜேம்ஸ் ரெய்ண்டில் USAID இற்கான சிரேஷ்ட அபிவிருத்தி வெளியக தொடர்பாடல் ஆலோசகர், திரு ஹர்ஷ ஜெயரத்ன சேஃப் அறக்கட்டளையின் நிறைவேற்று பணிப்பாளர்.
Let's give them a warm welcome on stage, ladies and gentlemen, please.
අද මේ මිනිස් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහි ජාත්‍යන්තර දිනේ මිනිස් වෙළඳාමේ ක්‍රූරත්වය මනුෂ්‍යත්වය තුලින් අභියෝගයට ලක් කරමින් සුරක්ෂිත සමාජයක පෙරගමන්කරුවන් අගයන්නටයි අප මේ සූදානම් වන්නේ. ප්‍රථම සම්මාන කාණ්ඩය හොඳම කෙටි චිත්‍රපටය වෙනුවෙන් ස්ථාන 3ක් තිබෙනවා. අපි මුලින්ම බලමු තුන්වන ස්ථානය දිනාගන්නේ කවුද කියලා.
The general public was enlightened on human trafficking through creating various posts and videos through Facebook, a social media network, and SHG groups through WhatsApp were created to create further public awareness on the matter. Moreover, making of a short film is another part of this venture. Gansarna believes short films are a more effective way to carry messages to society.
අද ක්ලාස් එකේ න බෝරින් නේද බං?
මෙයා තමයි අපේ අයියා මම කිව්වනේ රටෙන් නම් ආවා කියලා. බලමුනේ අනිවාර්ය වෙන්න ඕනේ.
Also, ready and you right.
All right, and the time has come to find out who takes our third place, ladies and gentlemen, in the short film category, and that is
Gimsarana Vishwajit Mahata.
Congratulations to our third place winner for their outstanding social media campaign.
சிறந்த குறும் திரைப்படத்திற்கான 3ஆம் இடம் கிம்சரண அமைப்பின் திரு விஸ்வஜித் அவர்கள் பெற்றுக்கொள்கிறார்.
Please put your hands together once more, ladies and gentlemen. Vishwajit Gimsara, third place for the short film campaign, the Bronze Award. Come on, put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. So effective. Best short film campaign. Vishwajit Gimsarana. Congratulations and thank you for your outstanding contribution. Let's give him one more round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, please. Thank you. And now the time has come to find out who takes home the Silver Award in the Best Short Film.
Social Equality Development Organization operates with a view to eradicating racial, religious and linguistic discrimination in the region and to ensure equitable development for all. CEDO is equipped with a media unit and runs a YouTube channel named CEDO TV. The CEDO Media Unit conducts several public awareness programs, including human rights, land rights, and reconciliation.
මාත් කොහොමාරි දුබයි යන්න ඕනි. ඔයා ලක්ෂ 7ක් දුන්න 60ම රට යවනවා. ඇග්‍රීමන්ට් එක චෙක් කරාද? ඇග්‍රීමන්ට් එක මං ගාව තමයි තියෙන්නේ. ඒක අරාබි වලින් තියෙන්නේ.
මේ අපේ ડોකියුමන්ට් එක ස්කෑන් කරගත්තොත් සිංහලට මාරු වෙයි.
ඒක අබරම් රවට්ටුවා බා.
ට්‍රාන්ස්ලේට් ක්‍රමය භාවිතයෙන් අපි මේ ප්‍රශ්න වලින් ගොඩ වෙමු.
මචං උට වෙලාවට මාව බේරුවේ.
சிறந்த குறும் திரைப்படத்திற்கான 2ஆம் இடத்தை பெற்றுக்கொள்றாங்க SEDO இன் திரு முனாஸ் அவர்கள். முனாஸ் அவர்களுக்கு உங்களுடைய கைத்தட்டல்களை வழங்குங்க.
The winner of our Silver Award in the Best Short Film Campaign, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Munas of SEDO.
SEDO ආයතනයේ මුනාස් මහතාට තව හොඳ උණුසුමක් පොළොසන්නක් ලබා දෙමු. මේ හොඳම කෙටි චිත්‍රපටය සඳහා ලැබෙන රිදී සම්මානය අපට අවශ්‍ය පණිවිඩය ඉතාම පැහැදිලිව කලාත්මකව අපේ ජනතාව අතරට රැගෙන යන්නට මේ කළ මෙහෙවර වෙනුවෙනුයි මේ සම්මානය පිරිනැමෙන්නේ උණුසුමත් පුල සන්නාදයකින් නැවතත් අපේ සුබ පැතුම් අප එක් කරමු. අපට ලැබුණු කෙටි චිත්‍රපට අතරින් ජයග්‍රාහකයන් තෝරා ගැනීම පහසු කර්තව්‍යයක් වුණේ නැහැ. කෙසේ වෙතත් මේ සියලු දෙනාම ජයග්‍රාහකයෝ. මේ අතරින් විශේෂතම මේ ප්‍රථම ස්ථානය දිනා ගනිමින් රන් සම්මානය දිනා ගන්නා ජයග්‍රාහකයා කවුද අපි බලමු.
OECRP Media Unit tends to seek answers by surpassing the normal media reporting through unraveling concealed and undiscovered facts in an unorganized society. They're also inclined towards fulfilling their societal obligation to focus on mojo technology, video programs, and short films through an inquisitive perspective.
මම බබාලා දෙන්නෙක්ගේ අම්මා කෙනෙක්. අපේ පවුල ජීවත් කරවන මහත්ය කුලි වැඩ කරලා ගේන මුදල ප්‍රමාණවත් උනේ නැහැ. හොඳ අනාගතයක් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන. දිනාර 40කට තමයි මම කුවේට් රට බලා ගමන් කළේ. බාබා ගිය ගමන්ම කළේ මගේ પાස්පෝර්ට් එක ඉල්ලගත්තා. ඊට පස්සේ මාව කාමරයකට දාලා වහලා යතුරු අරගත්තා. මං ආයෙත් ගෙදරින් පැන්නා. ඒ පැනලා යනකොට තමයි මාව පොලිසියට අහුනේ. මගේ හේන සේරම විනාශ වෙලා ගියා.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the Gold Award in the Best Short Film Campaign, please put your hands together for the media team of OECRP. Congratulations. Thank you so much for your outstanding and impactful short film campaign. Such journalism, such storytelling. Thank you.
උණුසුමත් පුල සන්නාදයක් ලබා දෙන්න මේ රන් සම්මානය දිනා ගන්නා OECRP මාධ්‍ය කණ්ඩායම ඔවුන් මේ කර්තව්‍ය වෙනුවෙන් ඉටු කළ ව්‍යාපෘති රාශියක් අප තිරේ දුටුවා. ඉදිරියටත් ඔවුන්ට ඒ අවශ්‍ය ශක්තිය ධෛර්යය ලැබේවා. මේ සම්මානය හරහා තවත් හොඳ උත්තේජනයක් ඔවුන් ලබා ගනීවි කියාත් අප බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. උණුසුමත් පුල සන්නාදයක් ලබා දෙමු. මේ කෙටි චිත්‍රපට කාණ්ඩයේ ප්‍රථම ස්ථානය දිනා ගන්නා OECRP මාධ්‍ය කණ්ඩායම. අපේ උණුසුම් සුබ පැතුම් OECRP මාධ්‍ය කණ්ඩායමට මේ මොහොතේ ලබා දෙන්න කැමතියි. අපි දැන් තවත් වැදගත් සම්මාන කාණ්ඩයක් වෙත යොමු වෙමු. ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ මිනිස් වෙළඳාම මැඩලීමේ කැපී පෙනෙන දායකත්වයක් ලබා දුන් මාධ්‍ය වේදියා. මිනිස් ජාවාරම නම් වූ දැවෙන ප්‍රශ්නය පිළිබඳව ඊටම නිර්භයව sannivedanaya කරමින් සහ මහජනතාව දැනුවත් කිරීම සඳහා මෙම මාධ්‍යවේදීන් තීරණාත්මක කාර්යභාරයක් ඉටු කර තිබෙනවා.
இப்போது மற்றொரு விருது வகைக்கு செல்கின்றோம். இலங்கையில் மனித கடத்தலை எதிர்த்து போராடுவதில் சிறந்த பத்திரிகையாளர். இம்மோசமான பிரச்சனையை வெளிச்சம் போட்டு காட்டுவதற்கு பொதுமக்களின் விழிப்புணர்வை ஏற்படுத்தவும் இந்த ஊடகவியலாளர்கள் முக்கிய பங்காற்றியுள்ளனர்.
We now move on to another significant award category, ladies and gentlemen, the Best Journalist with outstanding work in combating human trafficking in Sri Lanka. These journalists have played a crucial role in shedding light on this pressing issue and bringing it to the forefront of public awareness. Let's find out who takes home the Bronze Award of the Best Journalist.
Bhumi Fonseca stepped into the field of journalism in 2014. She's showed keen interest on writing investigative articles ever since. The article she wrote regarding the abuse of IT students taken to Thailand in the name of being provided with employment received wide attention. The release of this article erupted into discussion in society about human trafficking. The respective article also opened the eyes of the relevant authorities, paving the way to bring those students back to their motherland. Currently, she serves as the deputy editor for the desk of investigative journalism at Daily Mirror.
இப்பிரிவில் 3ஆம் இடத்தை பெறுபவர் திருமதி பியூமி பொன்சேகா அவர்கள்.
Please put your hands together for Miss Piumi Fonseca. Is she here with us today? She must be investigating another issue. Yes, that is what she's doing. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give her another round of applause. Her work is of utmost importance for our country, so she's probably doing that right now. Let's give her one more round of applause. Taking home the Bronze Award, Piumi Fonseca. Thank you. The time has come to find out who takes home the Silver Award.
Qualified as a software engineer, Shyamal Bandara Jayapadma has been serving in the media industry ever since 2011. Currently, he serves as a permanent news and program producer, news presenter, and investigative journalist at Swarnavahini Media Institution. He was awarded the Best Professional Reporter at the 2020 Smriti Awards.
And now, live at 12. අයිබෝවන් ඔබ එක්වන්නේ දිවයිනේ වැඩිම පිරිසක් නරඹන දිවපුවත් විකාශය live at 12 සමගින් මම ශ්‍යාමල් බණ්ඩාර ජයපත්න.
Please put your hands together for Mr. Jayapatma. Thank you so much for your outstanding contribution and your best journalistic work in combating human trafficking in Sri Lanka.
ශ්‍යාමල් ජයපත්ම රිදී සම්මානයෙන් පිදුම් ලබනවා හොඳම මාධ්‍යවේදියා කාණ්ඩේ. මිනිස් වෙළඳාම පිළිබඳව දැනුවත් කිරීම සඳහා ඔවුන්ගේ මාධ්‍ය කුසලතා භාවිත කරමින් සිදු කළ විශිෂ්ට ප්‍රයත්නය සඳහා මේ රිදී සම්මානය දිනාගන්නේ ශ්‍යාමල් ජයපත්ම. වාර්තාකරණය සැලකිය යුතු බලපෑමක් ඇති කර ඇති අතර මෙම වැදගත් අරමුණ සඳහා ඔබගේ කැපවීම අපි ඊටම ඉහළින් අගය කරනවා. තව හොඳ උණුසුම්වත් වල සන්නාදයක් අපි ලබා දෙමු. ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ මිනිස් වෙළඳාම මැඩලීමේ කැපී පෙනෙන දායකත්වයක් ලබා දුන් මාධ්‍යවේදියා යන කාණ්ඩයට එක් වෙමින් එහි විශිෂ්ටතමයා ලෙස ජයග්‍රහණය කරන්නේ කවුද? අපි බලමු.
Dinendra Ratnasiri is the producer of the present television program Ukusa, being telecast on Derana TV channel. He prefers to produce programs on various challenging topics, while the news clip he produced through Ukusa regarding human trafficking is one of the most challenging and audacious documentaries ever created. It could be named a program that carried a significant message to society.
ඔරැල්ලේ පෞද්ගලික රෝහලක සිදු කෙරුණු වකුගඩු ජාවාරමක් පිළිබඳව අද දෙරෙන උකුස්සා පසුගිය දින කිහිපය පුරාම ආందోලනාත්මක හෙළිදරව්වක් කළ.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Gold Award winner Dinendra Ratnasiri. Thank you so much for your courage, for your commitment to shedding light on the dark realities of human trafficking. Your work is truly exemplary. Please give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Dinendra Ratnasiri taking home the Gold Award in the Best Journalist with outstanding work in combating human trafficking in Sri Lanka. Thank you so much for your service for our country. I know you can do better than that, ladies and gentlemen. Please give a round of applause. Thank you.
මිනිස් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහිව සටන් කිරීම සඳහා කැපී පෙනෙන සහ ධෛර්ය සම්පන්න මාධ්‍ය කලාව සඳහා ප්‍රථම ස්ථානය දිනා ගන්නා දිනේන්ද්‍ර රන්සිරිට අපි අපගේ හෘදයාංගම සුබ පැතුම් එක් කරනවා. සුබ පැතුම් සම්මාන ප්‍රදානයට එක් වූ සම්භාවනීයනි බොහොම ස්තුතියි. Stephanie? There are few ambassadors, Stephanie, brand ambassadors. දැන් අපිට තානාපතිවරු කීප දෙනෙක්ම ඉන්නවා මේ වැදගත් සංකල්පය, මේ වැදගත් පණිවිඩය ජනතාව අතරට ගෙනියන්න. ඉතින් ඒ අයගෙන් කීප දෙනෙකුත් අද සූදානමින් ඉන්නවා ඔබව ආමන්ත්‍රණය කරන්න.
Yes. It is so important for these messages, these important messages to go out to the public, because that is how education, awareness is what prevents this from happening. And that is why knowledge is power. And these key brand ambassadors are here with us. So please join me as we welcome them with so much love. Ladies and gentlemen, a passionate advocate in the fight against human trafficking and the promotion of safe migration. He has been working tirelessly to raise awareness and make a difference in our society. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and absolute honor to invite one of our esteemed ECCT project brand ambassadors. Please put your hands together for this very special gentleman. First, Darshan.
மனித கடத்தலுக்கு எதிரான போராட்டத்திலும் பாதுகாப்பான இடப்பெயர்வை ஊக்குவிப்பதிலும் ஆர்வமுள்ள சட்டத்தரணியாக விழிப்புணர்வை ஏற்படுத்தவும் நமது சமூகத்தில் மாற்றத்தை ஏற்படுத்தவும் அவர் பணியாற்றி வருகிறார். இப்போது எங்கள் மதிப்பிற்குரிய ECCT திட்ட மதிப்புமிக்க தூதுவர்களில் ஒருவரை அழைக்கின்றோம். திரு கபில ரஸ்நாயக்க அவரது பெருமதியான කරුතුකලයි එංගලුடன் මුන්වයිපා.
ඔහු මිනිස් ජාවාරමට එරෙහි සටනේ සහ ආරක්ෂිත සංක්‍රමණය ප්‍රවර්ධනය කිරීමේ උද්‍යෝගිමත් උපදේශකවරයෙක් ඒ වගේම පුරවැසියන් දැනුවත් කරමින් සමාජය තුළ වෙනසක් ඇති කිරීමට නිරන්තරයෙන් වෙහෙස නොබලා කටයුතු කරන්නෙක් අපේ සහෘදෙක් උණුසුම් අත්පොළ සන්නාදයෙන් අපි පිළිගනිමු ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ මිනිස් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහි සිවිල් සංවිධාන බලගැන්වීමේ ව්‍යාපෘතියේ සන්නාම තානාපතිවරයෙකු වන කපිල රස්නායක මහත්මයා.
Thank you all. Being an ambassador and activist, I'm really proud of this moment. And thank you, Mr. Harsha, for the invitation. බොහොම දෙනෙක් මම හිතන්නේ මෙතනට අද එකතු වෙලා සිටින නිසාවෙන් මම විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ අවස්ථාව පිළිබඳව සතුටු වෙනවා. මන්ද අපි හැමෝම මේකේ කොටස්කරුවෝ. එක සමාජ විද්‍යාඥවරයෙක් සිටියා එමිල් ඩර්ක්හයිම් කියලා. ඔහු කියනවා අප සියලුම දෙනාම මේ ශරීරයේ කොටස් වගේ. එක්කෙනෙක් හදවත සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉන්නවා, එක්කෙනෙක් ඇඟිලි සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉන්නවා. සම මේ සියලු දේ වගේ තමයි අපිත් සමාජයේ වැඩ කරද්දී කියලා. ඒකම මෙතනදී කියන්නට මම උත්සාහ කරන්නේ අද දවසේ කුමන හෝ කෙනෙක් යම්කිසි දුකක් විඳිනවා නම් ඒකටත් වග කියන්න ඕනේ අපි. අද දවසේ යම්කිසි කෙනෙක් යම්කිසි සතුටක් විඳිනවා නම් ඒකටත් වග කියන්න ඕනේ අපි. අද යම්කිසි කෙනෙක් අවතැන් වෙලා ජාවාරම් කරුවන්ට හසු වී සිටිනවා නම් ඒකටත් වග කියන්න ඕනේ අපිම තමයි. එහෙනම් අපිම තමයි මෙහි විසඳුමක් ජනිත කළ යුත්තේ. එම නිසා සේෆ් ෆවුන්ඩේෂන් ආයතනය, USAID ආයතනය, තවත් සිවිල් සංවිධාන ගණනාවක් එකතු වෙලා මේ කරන පරිශ්‍රය මම හිතන්නේ අපි සියලුම දෙනාම එකතු වෙලා අගය කළ යුතුයි කියලා. ඒකෙදි තව දෙයක් තමයි අපේ රටවල් වලට එදා සිට අපි අධ්‍යාපනය ගෙනාවා. හැබැයි අධ්‍යාපනය හරියට කොහොමද ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන ක්‍රමවේදය කියන එක අපිට සකසන්න බැරි වුණා. අපිට මොබයිල් ෆෝන් එක ගෙනාවා, ටෙක්නොලොජි ගෙනාවා, we introduced technology and mobile phones and tablets and everything, but we didn't teach them how to apply, how to use properly. ඒ ක්‍රමවේදය හරියට කරන හැටි පිළිබඳව අපි කියලා දුන්නේ නැහැ. අපි බොහොම තාක්ෂණික යුගයක් පිළිබඳවද කතා කරනවා. හැබැයි අර මම කිව්වා වගේ තාක්ෂණය හරියට පාවිච්චි කරන විදිය ගැන අපිට කියලා දුන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකින්ද ගරු මනුෂ්‍ය නායකකාර මැතිතුමත් මේක කිව්වා. අපි හරිනම් අධ්‍යාපනයට දාන්න ඕනේ අලුත් සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකේ අලුත් කොටසක් විදියට හරියට කොහොමද රට යන්නේ කියලා කතාවක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ ඒකේ. මම හිතනවා පෙළ පොතක කොහොමද how to how to do it properly. අන්න ඒකයි අපේ ලාංකීය සංස්කෘතියට නැති වුනේ. මොකද අපි අද දවසේ දන්නවා සීගිරිය, අවුකන, නැත්නම් පොළොන්නරුව, නැත්නම් තේපොල් රබල් වරින් එහාට ගියපු සංචාරක සංස්කෘතියක් දැන් හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒකින්ද තවදුරටත් අපිට ඒවා විකුණකට ගන්න බෑ. ඒකින්ද විකිණීමේ සංස්කෘතිය නෙමෙයි quality of life කියන සංස්කෘතියට ඇවිල්ලා. skill migration එක. අපි මේ කියන ධාරිතාවෙන් පිරුණු හොඳ මිනිස්සෙක් කොහොමද quality life එකක් කරහා රැගෙන යන්නේ කියන කතිකාව තමයි මම හිතන්නේ අපි සියුම දෙනාම ජනිත කළ යුත්තේ කියලා. ඒකින්ද මම විශාල වශයෙන් කතා කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මාව ඇම්බැසඩර් කෙනෙක් නැත්නම් තානාපතිවරයෙක් පත් කරපු හින්දාම මට සිද්ධ වෙනවා මම 3 wheel එකකද යන්නේ, බස් එකකද යන්නේ, මගේ වාහනේද කාත් එක්ක හරි යන්නේ, නැත්නම් මම සමාජ මාධ්‍ය භාවිතා කරනවාද, ඒ හැම දෙයකදීම ඒ වගේම තමයි මම ස්ත්‍රී පුරුෂ සමාජ භාවය පිළිබඳ ක්‍රියාකාරිකයෙක් විදියට, ජෙන්ඩර් ඇක්ටිවිස්ට් කෙනෙක් විදියට, ඒ වගේම කමියුනිකේෂන් කන්සල්ටන්ට් කෙනෙක් විදියට මම වැඩ කරද්දී මම ට්‍රේනින් කරන ගොඩක් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් වල විනාඩි 5ක් හෝ 6ක් නැත්නම් විනාඩි 10ක් අරගෙන හර්ෂ මහත්තයා මම මේ සම්බන්ධව කතා කරා. මොකද මේක අපි හැමතෙම තියෙන වගකීමක්. මෙතන අපි සිල්මු දෙනා අද 1000කට වඩා පිරිසක් ඉන්නවා. එක්කෙනෙක් මේ කතාව ආරම්භ කරොත් මම හිතනවා වෙනසක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකින්ද අපි වෙනස එතනින් පටන් ගමු. ඒ වගේම තමයි හරියට යන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක අපි දැනුවත් කරමු. හරියට යන බව දන්නේ නැති හරියට යෑමේ සිස්ටම් එක අපි සරල කරමු. ඒක සිම්පල් කරමු. ඒකින්ද මම හිතන්නේ දැන් විදේශ කටයුතු සම්බන්ධ වැඩ කරන දෙපාර්තමේන්තු අමාත්‍යාංශයේ සියලුම දෙනා දැන් ඒක කොහොමද සිම්පල් විදියට කරන්නේ නැත්නම් සරල විදියට කොහොමද මේ ක්‍රියාන්විතය කරන්න කියන එකකට දැන් කටයුතු කරනවා. ඒකටත් අපි ස්තුතිය පුද කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒකින්ද එකක් තමයි හරියට යෑම පිළිබඳව අපි විධිමත් ආකාරයට අධ්‍යාපනයක් ලබා දිය යුතුයි. හරියට යෑමේ වැදගත්කම කියා දිය යුතුයි. හරියට යන්න නම් තියෙන ක්‍රමවේදය ලස්සන අලංකාර සහ සිම්පල් කළ යුතුයි. එහෙම කරේ නැත්නම් මේක නිකන් හෙඩේකයක් වගේ දැවුනොත් එහෙම අර විදියට බෝට්ටුවෙන් හරි යන්න තමයි දඟලන්නේ. ඒකින්ද රට යන එක වළැක්වීම නෙමෙයි කළ යුත්තේ. පුළුවන් තරම් රට යන්න මහතුනි කමක් නැහැ මහත්වරුනි නෝනාවරුනි. හැබැයි දැනගෙන රට යමු. තියෙන ක්‍රමවේදය සරල කරමු. ඒ වගේම තමයි අමාත්‍යාංශයේම සියලු දෙනා සිවිල් සංවිධාන කලාකරුවන් ඔක්කොම බද්ධ වෙලා මේ යාන්ත්‍රණය සුවපහසු යාන්ත්‍රණයක් බවට පත් කරමින් මේකේ තියෙන ගුණාත්මක භාවය රැකගනිමු. ඒක තමයි මට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් බොහොම ස්තුතියි මේ අවස්ථාව ලබා දුන්නට සහ අප පිළිබඳ විශ්වාස කරමින් සේෆ් ෆවුන්ඩේෂන් ආයතනය තානාපතිවර වශයෙන් කටයුතු කිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපිට අවස්ථාව සැලසුවට බොහොමත්ම ස්තුතියි. වාසනාවන්ත දිනයක් වේවා.
Thank you so much for your passionate words and all the work that you do. Please put your hands together once more for the one and only Kapila Rasnayaka. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Saranga.
කපිල රස්නායක මහත්මයාට බෙහෙවින්ම ස්තුතියි. ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ තැනැත්තන් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහි ජාතික කාර්ය සාධක බලකාය මිනිස් වෙළඳාම මැඩපවත්වනු වස් භාරදූර එසේම අති විශාල කාර්යභාරයක් ඉෂ්ට කරන්නා වූ ආයතනයක්. වර්ෂ 2000 දී අධිකරණ අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් මගින් ස්ථාපිත කරනු ලැබූ මෙම ආයතනය මිනිස් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහි කාර්ය සම්බන්ධීකරණය කරන ප්‍රධාන මධ්‍යස්ථානය. ඔවුන්ගේ අමිල දායකත්වය ගෙනහැර දක්වන එසේත් නැත්නම් තැනැත්තන් වෙළඳාමට එරෙහි ජාතික කාර්ය සාධක බලකායේ කාර්ය ඉස්මතු කරන කෙටි වාර්තා චිත්‍රපටයක් නැරඹීමට ඔබ සැමට අප ආරාධනා කරනවා.
இலங்கையில் தேசிய மனித கடத்தல் தடுப்பு பணிப்படையணியின் குறிப்பிடத்தக்க முயற்சிகளை ஒப்புவிக்க சிறிது நேரம் ஒதுக்குவோம். மனித கடத்தலை எதிர்த்து போராடுவதற்கான அனைத்து முயற்சிகளையும் ஒருங்கிணைப்பதற்கான முன்னணி அரசு நிறுவனமாக நீதி அமைச்சு 2010 NAHTTF-ஐ உருவாக்கியது. நாட்டில் மனித கடத்தலை தீர்ப்பதில் பணியாற்றும் அனைத்து முக்கிய பங்குதாரர்களிடையே ஒருங்கிணைப்பு மற்றும் ஒத்துழைப்பை வலுப்படுத்துவதில் இந்த படையணி ஒரு கருவியாக உள்ளது. அவர்களின் அர்ப்பணிப்பு மற்றும் அயராத முயற்சிகள் இந்த கொடூரமான குற்றத்திற்கு எதிரான போராட்டத்தில் பெரும் பங்கு வகித்தன. அவர்களின் விலைமதிப்பற்ற பங்களிப்பை பற்றி உங்களுக்கு தெரிவிப்பதற்காக தேசிய மனித கடத்தல் எதிர்ப்பு படையணியின் குறிப்பிடத்தக்க பணிகளை எடுத்துக்காட்டும் ஒரு சிறிய ஆவணப்படத்தை நாங்கள் இப்போது பார்வையிடுவோம்.
Let's now take a moment to acknowledge the significant efforts of the National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force, NAHTTF, in Sri Lanka. As the lead government agency for coordinating all initiatives to combat human trafficking, the Ministry of Justice established the NAHTTF in 2010. This task force has been instrumental in strengthening coordination and collaboration amongst all key stakeholders working to address human trafficking in Sri Lanka. Their dedication and tireless efforts have played a major role in the fight against human trafficking. To give you a glimpse of their invaluable contributions, we'll now play a short documentary highlighting the remarkable work of the National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. Ladies and gentlemen.
Human trafficking, or modern-day slavery, is the fastest-growing criminal industry in the world. It happens within the borders and across the borders. Unfortunately, not even a single country is free from this crime. In Sri Lanka, human traffickers exploit domestic and foreign victims and also victims from Sri Lanka abroad. Due to poverty, ignorance, and the false promises of well-paying foreign employment opportunities offered by labor recruiters, many migrant workers become victims of a variety of situations including, but not limited to, forced or exploited at labor, commercial sexual exploitation, domestic servitude, organ removal, forced begging, and forced criminality. In order to strengthen the coordination and collaboration of all monitoring and combating stakeholders, the government of Sri Lanka established the National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force in 2010, chaired by the Ministry of Justice. Sri Lankan government regularly submits trafficking in persons reports to the United States Department of State's Office to monitor and combat trafficking in persons. In 2015, 2016, and from 2019 to 2021, Sri Lanka remained on the Tier 2 watch list, raising concerns about being downgraded to Tier 3 in 2022. Meanwhile, a cabinet decision was made to shift the chairmanship of the task force from Ministry of Justice to the Ministry of Defense in order to develop an enhanced institutional mechanism that coordinates directly with the investigating authorities and intelligence services. The National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force, now composed to 20 stakeholders, and is currently under the direction of the Ministry of Defense since August 2021. Vision of the task force is to combat human trafficking in Sri Lanka through strengthened collaborative efforts of all stakeholders by addressing the root causes and vulnerabilities that expose individuals to the risk of human trafficking, preventing the crime, prosecuting the perpetrators, protecting and assisting victims of human trafficking in an expeditious manner, and responding to the emerging needs and trends whilst adopting a victim-centric approach. Under the guidance and leadership of the Secretary of Defense, the shape of the task force's functioning was re-established. The coordinating committee and highly skilled and dedicated officials were appointed under the supervision of the Chief of National Intelligence. Accordingly, activities geared towards preventing the occurrence of human trafficking, protecting victims of the crime, prosecuting perpetrators, and building strong partnerships with both domestic and international organizations are designed. The task force increased efforts in creating greater awareness among officials of the stakeholders and also the community. The task force is conducting many public awareness campaigns through all the media, and the response from the community is getting stronger gradually. The task force is cooperating with the media authorities and has trained one batch of journalists from television networks in Sri Lanka. With full sponsorship and assistance by the IOM, awareness programs were conducted to train the officials, including intelligence officers from the intelligence services and Triforces officers deployed in various parts of the country covering all islands. And also initiated capacity building programs for officials of the stakeholders in order to enhance their capabilities and utilize them as trainers. The International Organization for Migration coordinated personal resources and provided full funding for entire programs. Taking a further step, the task force initiated to establish a hotline in collaboration with the IOM, and IOM trained selected officers to handle hotline operations by improving the professional approach. The task force recognized that increasing the number of successful prosecutions and convictions for human traffickers is equally important as other core areas. Actions and initiatives were taken to expedite some of the long-running cases, including foreign victim cases. IOM sponsored to send investigation and intelligence officers to Oman, and that lead to exposure huge trafficking network among recruiting agencies and some involved government officials. The task force has taken swift actions to repatriate victims of trafficking stranded in various destinations in collaborations with IOM and government officials. Due to its untiring effort, repatriation of victims of trafficking from Laos, Oman, Vietnam, and Myanmar showcases the professionalism of all stakeholders. The government of Sri Lanka is in line with internationally accepted best practices and committed to curbing human trafficking in all its forms and manifestations with an aim to reach Tier 1. The government response to human trafficking predicated on 4 pillars: prevention, protection, prosecution, and partnership, according to the National Strategic Action Plan to monitor and combat human trafficking 2021 to 2025. The task force work on establishing a safe migration promotion unit at the Bandaranaike International Airport pursuant to the instructions from the Select Committee of Parliament to look into and report to Parliament its recommendations to ensure gender equity and equality, with special emphasis on looking into gender-based discriminations and violations of women's rights in Sri Lanka. The task force builds partnerships with civil society and non-governmental organizations and encourages to collaborate with the task force in the fight against human trafficking. Various awareness programs and preventive activities were taken by the task force member institutions. Due to the dedicated commitment of the stakeholders of the task force and demonstrated overall increasing efforts compared with the previous reporting period, Sri Lanka was upgraded to Tier 2 in 2022 and remains in Tier 2 in 2023. The National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force Stakeholder Dialogue 2022 is a collaborative effort of the IOM and the Ministry of Defense. By strengthening the partnership between the task force and the IOM, the Regional Director of IOM for Asia and the Pacific meets the members of the task force and congratulate the efforts of the task force in the fight against human trafficking. We are the team that combats human trafficking in Sri Lanka. We are steady forward. We are united and dedicated. We task force ensure the human rights, security and dignity of our children, women and men.
Can we please put our hands together for the wonderful work and the remarkable work of the National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. Thank you so much. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the highlights of the event has arrived. It's time for the official launch of the booklet, Advocacy Demands to Combat Human Trafficking and Promote Safe Migration in Sri Lanka. This booklet represents a collaborative effort and extensive research. It will serve as a valuable resource for policymakers, stakeholders, and all those committed to combating human trafficking and promoting safe migration in our beloved Sri Lanka.
நாங்கள் அனைவரும் எதிர்பார்த்து காத்திருந்த தருணம் வந்துவிட்டது. இதுவே இந்நிகழ்வின் சிறப்பம்சமாகும். மனித கடத்தலை எதிர்த்து போராடுவதற்கும் இலங்கையில் பாதுகாப்பான இடப்பெயர்வுகளை மேம்படுத்துவதற்காகவும் நியாய பிரச்சாரம் கோரல் எனும் சிறு நூலினை உத்தியோகபூர்வமாக வெளியிடும் நேரம் இது. இந்த கையேடு ஒரு கூட்டு முயற்சி மற்றும் விரிவான ஆராய்ச்சியை பிரதிநிதித்துவப்படுத்துகிறது. மேலும் இது கொள்கை வகுப்பாளர்கள், பங்குதாரர்கள் மற்றும் மனித கடத்தலை எதிர்த்து போராடுவதற்கும் மற்றும் பாதுகாப்பான இடப்பெயர்வை மேம்படுத்துவதற்கும் அர்ப்பணிப்புடன் செயற்படும் அனைவருக்கும் பெருமதி வாய்ந்த வளமாக இருக்கும். கௌரவிப்புகளை செய்ய சேஃப் அறக்கட்டளையின் நிறைவேற்று பணிப்பாளர் திரு ஹர்ஷ ஜெயரத்ன அவர்களை மேடைக்கு அழைப்பதில் நாங்கள் மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறோம்.
නිල වශයෙන් එළි දැක්වෙන මෙම ප්‍රකාශය විවිධ පාර්ශවල සහයෝගීත්වයේ සහ පුළුල් පර්යේෂණවල ප්‍රතිඵලයක්. එහි ප්‍රතිපත්ති සම්පාදකයන්, පාර්ශවකරුවන් සහ ශ්‍රී ලංකාව තුළ මිනිස් ජාවාරමට එරෙහිව සටන් කිරීමට සහ ආරක්ෂිත සංක්‍රමණය ප්‍රවර්ධනය කිරීමට කැපවී සිටින සියලු දෙනාට වටිනා සම්පතක්. මෙම අවස්ථාව සනිටුවන් කිරීම සඳහා සේෆ් පදනමේ විධායක අධ්‍යක්ෂ හර්ෂ ජයරත්න මහත්මයාට වේදිකාවට ආරාධනා කරන අතර මෙම සුවිශේෂී ප්‍රයත්නයේදී සුවිශේෂී කාර්යභාරයක් ඉටු කළ හවුල්කාර සංවිධාන හතරේ විධායක අධ්‍යක්ෂවරුන්ද ඔහු සමග එක්වනු ඇති. ඔවුන් අපගේ සම්භාවනීය අමුත්තන්ට මෙම ප්‍රකාශනය පිළිගැන්වීමේ මොහොතයි දැන් එළඹෙන්නේ. ආරක්ෂිත සහ වඩා දයානුකම්පිත සමාජයක් කරා අපගේ සාමූහික ගමන නොකඩවා සිදු කරගෙන යාමට මෙය වටිනා සන්දිස්ථානයක් වනු ඇති.
Congratulations to everyone involved in the making of this remarkable publication. Let's celebrate this milestone and continue our collective journey towards a safer and more compassionate society, ladies and gentlemen.
இந்த நூலை உருவாக்குவதில் ஈடுபட்ட அனைவருக்கும் வாழ்த்துக்கள். இந்த மைல்கல்லை கொண்டாடி பாதுகாப்பான மற்றும் இரக்கமுள்ள சமூகத்தை நோக்கி நமது கூட்டு பயணத்தை தொடர்வோம். நன்றி.
මේ ප්‍රකාශනය හරහා අපය කරන්නට බලාපොරොත්තු වන්නේ අපේ ප්‍රජාව දැනුවත් කිරීම. දැනුම යනු බලය. මිනිස් ජාවාරම අවම කිරීම සහ ශ්‍රී ලංකාව තුළ ආරක්ෂිත සංක්‍රමණය ප්‍රවර්ධනය කිරීම සඳහා වන නිර්දේශ අවබෝධ කර ගැනීම අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි. අපව තවදුරටත් දැනුවත් කිරීම සඳහා පුළුල් පර්යේෂණ සහ ඇගයීම්වල සොයා ගැනීම මත පදනම් වූ වීඩියෝවක් අප ඔබත් සමග බෙදා ගැනීමට දැන් සූදානම්. මිනිස් ජාවාරමට එරෙහිව ඵලදායී ලෙස සටන් කිරීම සඳහා විශේෂඥයින් සහ පාර්ශවකරුවන් විසින් ඉදිරිපත් කර ඇති වටිනා නිර්දේශ පිළිබඳව මෙම වීඩියෝව නැරඹීමෙන් ඔබට දැන ගැනීමට හැකි වේවි. මෙම නිර්දේශ අවබෝධ කර ගැනීමෙන් සාමූහිකව සැමට ආරක්ෂිත සහ වඩාත් සුරක්ෂිත පරිසරයක් අපට එක්ව වැඩ කටයුතු කළ හැකියි.
அறிவுதான் பலம். மேலும் இலங்கையில் மனித கடத்தலை குறைப்பதற்கும் பாதுகாப்பான இடப்பெயர்வை ஊக்குவிப்பதற்குமான பரிந்துரைகளை புரிந்து கொள்வது அவசியமாகும். இது பற்றி எங்களை மேலும் தெளிவுபடுத்த விரிவான ஆய்வுகள் மற்றும் மதிப்பீட்டின் கண்டுபிடிப்புகளின் அடிப்படையிலான காணொளி ஒன்று உள்ளது. மனித கடத்தலை திறம்பட எதிர்த்து போராட நிபுணர்கள் மற்றும் பங்குதாரர்களால் முன்வைக்கப்பட்ட மதிப்புமிக்க பரிந்துரைகளை இக்காணொளி வெளிச்சமிட்டு காட்டும். இந்த பரிந்துரைகளை புரிந்து கொள்வதன் மூலம் அனைவருக்கும் பாதுகாப்பான மற்றும் மிகவும் பாதுகாப்பான சூழலை நோக்கி நாம் கூட்டாக செயற்பட முடியும். இப்போது இந்த தெளிவூட்டல் காணொளியை பார்வையிட்டு அதன் மூலம் கிடைக்கும் அறிவையும் வழிகாட்டல்களையும் உள்வாங்கிக் கொள்வோம்.
Knowledge is power. And it is essential to understand the recommendations for reducing human trafficking and promoting safe migration in Sri Lanka. To further enlighten us, we have a video based on the findings of extensive research and evaluation. This video will shed light on the valuable recommendations put forth by experts and stakeholders to combat human trafficking effectively. By understanding these recommendations, we can collectively work towards a safer and more secure environment for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now watch this enlightening video.
The outbreak of COVID-19 exacerbated pre-existing macroeconomic challenges of Sri Lanka, leading to the worst economic crisis since independence. The shortage of foreign exchange resulted in people waiting in long queues for essential commodities. The unprecedentedly high inflation, together with thousands of job losses, led to a mass exodus of people from Sri Lanka. The desperation to meet the necessities makes a significant portion of society vulnerable. Despite the existence of the various policies, such as National Labour Migration Policy, National Action Plan to monitor and combat human trafficking, the number of people falling prey to human trafficking and smuggling increased rapidly, exposing issues in law enforcement and policy gaps. Presently, the entire world is focusing on evidence-based policy making. Evidences are generated through research and empirical studies. But in the context of Sri Lanka, there is a lack of data on many sectors which deprived citizens well-designed policies. Thus, the advocacy and lobbying have a bigger role to play in policy making in Sri Lanka. One of the main issues these days is people leaving Sri Lanka on visit visa to find jobs overseas. They will not get a chance to enjoy the services offered by the SLBFE, by the Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment, to migrant workers.
එයා විසිට් වීසා ගෙනත් අපිට දුන්න ගමන්ම මම ඒක කැන්සල් කරන්න කිව්වා විසිට් වීසා කොහොමවත් මම යවන්න කැමති නැහැ කියලා.
කුවේට් රටට කිව්වට කුවේට් රටට නෙවෙයිද කොයිද ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ.
அப்படியே மொத்தமா 5,000 அவட கையில கொண்டு போய் கொடுத்தேன் அந்த பொம்பளைட்ட. விசிட் விசா அந்த பெஸ்ட்க்கு சொல்லலன்ட்டு.
It is important that whatever way they go, they send money to Sri Lanka and also they are Sri Lankans. They are our friends. Therefore, the state has a legal obligation to protect rights of persons who migrated through domestic visa. The Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau Act can think of making an amendment to include those categories. By doing so, they also can benefit from the law.
The National Labour Migration Policy reiterates the need for an overarching mechanism for complaints at all levels of the migration process that is mandated to receive, investigate and refer complaints. However, do we have a proper regional mechanism for victims to make complaints easily?
එයාව ලියපු සබ් කෙනේ 5.80ක් එයාට දීලා තියෙනවා අපි මේක.
ஏஜென்சி காரன் தான் 55 லட்சம் கேட்டாரு.
මං ගියා දෙපාරක් ගියා. දෙපාරම සබ් මාර්ගයෙන් තමයි ගියේ.
2 நாள் ඒකෙන් சொல்லிட்டு எங்களை 11 நாள் கொழும்புல வச்சிருந்தாங்க.
සමාජ ක්‍රියාකාරීන් හැටියට රජයට යෝජනා කරනවා නිසි නියාමනයකින් යුතුව සහ සොයා බැලීමකින් යුතු මෑන් පවර් ආයතන සහ විදේශ ශ්‍රමිකයන් සපයන ඒජන්සිස් ඇති කරන ලෙසට.
Migrant workers make valuable contributions to the national economy, but migrant workers currently cannot exercise their voting rights while employed abroad. Page 47 of the National Labour Migration Policy of 2008 to acknowledge the importance of facilitating the voting right of migrant workers.
මේ රටේ ආර්ථිකයේ විශාල කොටසක් විශාල පදාසයක් මේ විදේශගත පුරවැසියෝ හරහා තමයි අපි ආවරණය කරගන්නේ. අපිට පහුගිය කාලේ තිබුණු බරපතල විදේශ විනිමය ගැටලුවට විශාල උත්තරයක් ලැබුණේ මේ අය හරහා. හැබැයි ඒ අයගේ ඡන්ද අයිතිය සුරක්ෂිත කරන්නට මේ රටේ නීති සම්පාදකයෝ ප්‍රතිපත්ති සම්පාදකයෝ කිසිවක් මේ දක්වා කරපු බවක් කරන බවක් පේන්නට නැහැ. විදේශගත පුරවැසියන්ට ඡන්ද අයිතිය ලබා දීම සඳහා ලෝකේ බොහෝ රටවල් ක්‍රියා කරලා තියෙනවා. දැන් මෑත කාලේ අපේ ආසියානු කලාපේ ගත්තොත් ආසියානු කලාපේ රටවලුත් මේ ආසන්නයේ අපේ තියෙන පුංචිම රටක් වෙන මාලදිවයින පවා මාලදිවයිනේ වැඩිම විදේශගත පිරිසක් ඡන්දේ පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ. දැන් ඊයේ පෙරේදා අපි අවසන් කරපු තායිලන්ත මැතිවරණ ගත්තොත් මිලියන 2.2ක් විදේශගතව ඡන්දේ පාවිච්චි කළා. දැන් අපේ රටේ මේ ඡන්ද ප්‍රමාණය මැතිවරණයකදී පාවිච්චි වුණොත් මැතිවරණ ප්‍රතිඵලය වෙනස් කරන්න පුළුවන්කම තියෙනවා. දැන් මම හිතන්නේ අපේ පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරු මේක දන්නේ නැහැ. තම තමන්ගේ දිස්ත්‍රික්කවල කොච්චර පිරිසක් විදේශගතව ඉන්නවද කියලා. ඒ අයගේ ඡන්දය අපේ ප්‍රධාන ඡන්ද වලට එකතු වුණොත් මැතිවරණ ප්‍රතිඵලය වෙනස් කරන්න පුළුවන්.
The lack of education on the safe migration methods makes citizens vulnerable, particularly underprivileged and those from rural areas.
ඒ කාලේ වෙනකොට අපිට ඇත්තටම හරි දැනීමක් තිබ්බේ නෑ දැන් කාලේ දරුවන් තරම්.
තරවකරුවන් අතින් තමයි මේ බොහෝ වෙලාවට මේ අය ගිහිල්ලා අහන්නේ පාස්පෝර්ට් එකක් හදාගන්නේ කොහොමද? අපි ගමේ භාෂාවෙන් කිව්වොත් වීසාවක් හදාගන්නේ කොහොමද? අපි අතරමං වෙනවා. හැබැයි මේක සාමාන්‍ය විදිහට අපිට මේ ඉස්කෝලේ යන කාලේ අපිට ඉගෙන ගන්න තිබුණා 9 10 වසරවලදී මේක අපිට සාමාන්‍ය ධර්මයක් බවට පත් වෙනවා.
First and foremost thing is that we have to create awareness among the school children and university students. For that we can develop curriculum in the universities as well as we can amend the existing curriculum of schools to add this issue.
Human trafficking is taking place not only abroad but also within Sri Lanka.
වර්ෂ 2025 වෙන විට දැනට 101ක්ව පවතින ළමා ශ්‍රමය අපි 0.0 දක්වා අඩු කිරීමට ජාත්‍යන්තර කම්කරු සංවිධානයට අපි පොරොන්දු වී තිබෙනවා. කෙසේ වුවත් ලංකාවේ ළමා ශ්‍රමය තුරන් කිරීම කම්කරු දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ පමණක් වගකීමක් නෙවෙයි, එය සමාජ වගකීමක්. ඒ සමාජ වගකීමට එක්වීම සඳහා ඔබ සියලු දෙනාට මම ආරාධනය කරනවා.
Not only child labor, Sri Lanka needs to completely eradicate forced labor and all forms of exploitations. The mandatory family background report is issued for females only if the children are above 5 years. But recently, the government decided to relax the regulation, which means females can go abroad for employment if children are above 2 years.
ඉතින් අවුරුදු දෙකට වඩා වැඩි වයසේ ඉන්න දරුවෝ ඉන්න කාන්තාවන්ට විදේශගත වීමේ අවකාශය ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ හරහා පුංචි දරුවෝ අතෑරලා දාලා සමහර වෙලාවට වෙනත් පාර්ශවයන්ට බාර දීලා තමන්ගේ මව විදේශගත වීමේ තත්ත්වයක් නිර්මාණය වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් මේ විදේශගත වෙන පවුල් සලකා බලපුවහම අපිට අයවැය ලේඛනය හරහා විශාල වශයෙන් අපේ රටට විදේශ විනිමය ගලාගෙන එනවා වගේ පෙනුනට මේ තුල හැංගිච්ච මහා බරපතල කාරණාවක් තියෙනවා.
මේ නීති ගැටුම්පත් මණ්ඩලයට ආර්ථික විශේෂඥයින් වගේම එකතු කරගන්නට ඕනි සමාජ සංස්කෘතික ඒ වගේම පෝෂණ වේදීන් ඇතුළත් වන කමිටුවක් මගින් නීති ගැටුම්පත් කිරීම සුදුසුයි කියලායි මගේ යෝජනාව.
Hence, It is the state responsibility to ensure no negative social impact arises from the relaxation of rules. Skill mismatch in demand for labor and supply is a major issue. It is a loss to the national economy as well as an individual loss.
There is a skill mismatch between labor demand and supply. So therefore, it's a government responsibility to aware the people about the skills that they need to get to find a good foreign employment. And also, it's a current need to establishment institutions for people to get the current information about the foreign job availability and the required skills that they have to gain. And also, there is a responsibility from the government side to convince people about the skills that they have to get to find a good foreign employment.
වෘත්තීමය අධ්‍යාපනය අපේ රටේ දියුණු කිරීම අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි මේ සඳහා. මොකද වෘත්තීමය අධ්‍යාපනය දියුණු කිරීම තුළින් අපිට හැකියාව ලැබෙයි අපේ රටේ මේ ඉන්න තරුණ පිරිස් විදේශගත කරවන්න. ඉතින් ඒ හරහා අපිට පුළුවන් වෙයි ගෘහ සේවිකාවන් හැටියට විදේශගත වෙන කාන්තාවන් ප්‍රමාණය අවම කරන්න හැකියාව අපිට සැලසෙයි.
So I think government agencies, our schools, our technical colleges, our vocational training institute, NGOs needs to develop a proper plan to develop skillful labor for our country and to export our labor to other countries.
Similar to the skill mismatch, the gaps in the implementation of sub-policy and national action plan on return and reintegration of migrant workers in Sri Lanka also inhibits growth of country as well as personal growth of returnees. A cohesive approach by public sector, NGOs and other stakeholders is the need of the hour to alleviate human trafficking and smuggling and illegal migration.
මේ සිද්ධ වෙන්න හේතුව තමයි රාජ්‍යාන්තරේ රජයේ කියන නිලධාරීන් මේ මාතෘකාව දන්නේත් නැහැ සහ මේ ක්‍රියාවලිය කරන්න යන රාජ්‍ය නමන සංවිධාන සහ සිවිල් සංවිධාන වලට අවස්ථාව ලබා දීම බොහොම අල්පයි. ඒ නිසා රාජ්‍ය ආයතන කළ යුතු දේ තමයි සිවිල් සංවිධාන වලට සහ විවිධ සිවිල් සංවිධාන සහ රාජ්‍ය නමන සංවිධාන වලට මේ වැඩපිළිවෙල සකස් කරන්න සහයෝගය දෙන්න.
There needs to be more planned and coordinated and collaborated efforts, especially within the government's National Action Plan on Combating Human Trafficking, to ensure that there are coordinated efforts to reach out to communities, to not only sensitize the larger public about human trafficking, but also to ensure that victims will be comfortable in coming forward, to not only record complaints, but also to access support services.
Now, in a divisional secretariat, there are different government servants who can contribute to implement these rules, regulations, policies. And at the same time, to ensure that the policies are being implemented, need to monitor, evaluate. For that, different government agencies needs to get together and coordinate and cooperate for this.
Sri Lanka is a signatory to the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime. There are many policies and laws in place, such as National Labour Migration Policy, Sub-Policy and National Action Plan on Return and Reintegration of Migrant Workers, National Policy for Decent Work, and National Migration Health Policy. However, the challenge is the lack of proper implementation.
State has a legal responsibility to address root causes of human trafficking in a meaningful manner.
Government servants, public servants needs to take an initiative and develop right positive attitudes in eliminating this crime from our country.
Let us come together to ensure that those who are falling prey to this crime is protected.
Both human trafficking and smuggling violate human rights and human dignity. Let's unite in combating human trafficking and human smuggling.
අපි තව දැනුම්වත් වෙමු අපි සාකච්ඡා කරමු. දැනුම වැඩි කර ගනිමු. අද වැඩසටහනේ අර්ථවත් භාවයේ සීමා මායිම් තව තවත් පුළුල් කරමින් මීළඟට අපි යොමු වන්නේ සාකච්ඡා මණ්ඩලයක් වෙත. මිනිස් ජාවාරමට එරෙහිව සටන් කිරීමේ සහ ආරක්ෂිත සංක්‍රමණ ප්‍රවර්ධනය කිරීමේ සංවර්ධන හවුල්කරුවන්ගේ භූමිකාව. තේමා කරගත් මෙම සැසිවාරය අපගේ සංවර්ධන හවුල්කරුවන්ගේ ගෞරවනීය නියෝජිතයන් හා ගේ සහභාගීත්වයෙන් සිදුවන්නක්. ආචාර්ය යශෝදරා කදිරගාම තම්බි මහත්මිය විසින් මෙම සැසිය මෙහෙයවීම අප ලද භාගයක් වන්නේ මෙම විෂයපතය සම්බන්ධ ඇගේ විශේෂඥ භාවය සහ මඟ පෙන්වීම ඵලදායි අදහස් හුවමාරුවක් කරා ගෙන යනු ඇති බැවින්.
நாங்கள் எங்களுடைய அர்த்தமுள்ள குழு கலந்துரையாடலை தொடர்கின்றோம். மனித கடத்தலை எதிர்த்து போராடுதல் மற்றும் பாதுகாப்பான இடப்பெயர்வை ஊக்குவிப்பதில் வளர்ச்சி பங்காளிகளின் பங்களிப்புகள் எனும் இரண்டாவது குழு கலந்துரையாடலுக்கு இப்போது செல்கிறோம். இந்த அமர்விற்கான எங்கள் குழு உறுப்பினர்களான எங்கள் வளர்ச்சி பங்காளிகளின் மதிப்பிற்குரிய பிரதிநிதிகளை நாங்கள் கொண்டுள்ளோம். இக்கலந்துரையாடலை வழிநடத்த டாக்டர் யசோதரா கதிர்காம தம்பி எங்கள் மதிப்பிற்குரிய வசதி அளிப்பாளராக செயற்படுவார். அவரது நிபுணத்துவம் மற்றும் வழிகாட்டல்கள் பெருமதியான அறிவு மற்றும் பயனுள்ள ஆலோசனைகளின் பரிமாற்றத்திற்கு வழிவகுக்கும் என்பதில் எவ்வித ஐயமும் இல்லை. இலங்கையில் மனித கடத்தலை எதிர்த்து போராடுவதிலும் பாதுகாப்பான இடப்பெயர்வினை ஊக்குவிப்பதிலும் வளர்ச்சி பங்காளிகளின் பங்களிப்புகள் மற்றும் இக்கலந்துரையாடலை நாம் ஆரம்பிக்கும் முகமாக எமது மதிப்பிற்குரிய குழு உறுப்பினர்கள் மற்றும் வசதி அளிப்பாளர்களை கரகோஷத்துடன் வரவேற்போம்.
We now have a panel discussion on united action against human trafficking and human smuggling. Our moderator will be Dr. Yashodhara Kadirgama Thambi, and our panelists will be the RCMP Liaison Officer Mr. Paul Haston, Mr. Gautman Balchandran, the head of IDEA Project, a civil society activist and lawyer, and Miss Padmini Ratnayaka, the Safe Labour Migration Specialist. Please give them a warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a very educational, insightful panel discussion. Thank you. We are now ready for our panel discussion, ladies and gentlemen. So please put your hands together as we invite once more our panelists up on stage. The RCMP Liaison Officer, Mr. Paul Haston. Let's give him a warm welcome, please. Along with Mr. Gauthman Balachandran, the head of IDEA Project, a civil society activist and a lawyer, and Ms. Padmini Ratnayaka, the Safe Labour Migration Specialist, and of course, our moderator for the day, Dr. Yashodhara Kathirugama-Thambi. Let's put our hands together for our panel discussion and our panelists. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to everyone. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy to moderate this insightful and an important session on a historical day organized by the SAFE Foundation. First, I would like to thank the Executive Director of SAFE Foundations for thinking of organizing and educating session. We have listened multiple speeches and we watched some of the videos. So the main thing came out from all those things is that we need to take joint action to eradicate human trafficking and protect the rights of victims. Keep this thing in mind. The theme of the panel, today's panel discussion is that united action against human trafficking. When we say united action, it is the responsibility of the state, non-state actors to come together to reach the aim of the United Nations Convention Against Torture and also the Human Trafficking Protocol. So keep these two main objectivism in mind. So here we have distinguished three panel members. Ms. Padmini Ratnayaka, she is gender specialist and she has number of years experience in the field of migration. And also we have with us Mr. Paul Hudson. He is liaison officer, Embassy of Canada in Sri Lanka. And Mr. Gauthaman, he is as a civil society representative. Okay, now the first I would like to pose a question to Ms. Padmini. Now you have worked a number of years in Sri Lanka with various government organizations, ministry, and your area of expertise is migration. Now the human trafficking issue comes under the broad theme of migration. So based on that, my question to you is, can you just explain the salient features of Sri Lankan national migration policy to the audience? Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, and thank you for all. The migration policy, then I think I listened to all the speeches and all those things, all the things we have to accept. There are so many policies and code of ethics and acts related to the labor migration. Our labor migration policy actually 2008 one, but I want to say now we are updating our policy including the present and current situation locally and the globally because is now approval for the Cabinet of Ministers, the new migration policy. I think I can explain about that because that is the recent one. There are also how we can address the human trafficking and foreign employment. That means not illegal, we can't say illegal, it is the irregular migration. Okay, Then our updated policy have 4 core areas. The core areas means then we have to focus on those things. We have made the action plan, not like the policy level. Action plan also we have prepared. These the all stakeholders participation. Actually, I want to say then all those policies and acts, so all those, the implementation should be whole of society and the whole of government approach. All over the new policy is based on that, because we all consume our migrant workers' remittances. Every cent, okay, for our oil or for people, the small ones, what is milk powder, all those things actually we consume their hard-earned money. That's why we all have to play a role. The government only prepare the policies, all those things, but the implementation we should all get together. Then I want to say the new policy, the first core area is the governance of migration. Under that, we have prepared the action plan. One main thing salient features I can tell you. The first thing we have amend our SLBFE Act. Then all short videos also, they pointed out about the sub-agents, the brokers. Actually, through the amendments of the SLBFE, the new amendments, we are going to legalize the sub-agents. Because sub-agent should register with the principal agent. Then if anything happens, principal agent has to be responsible. That's why we want to catch those fellows. Another thing, we are following that task force action plan, Bureau of Foreign Employment and the ministry also. I think in the future also we are encouraging those action plan implementation. And the recruitment agents also, we have increased fines according to the new amendments to the SLBFE Act. The policy-wise, all the migrant societies and CSOs, we are going to recommend and we are going to recognize with our government agencies. That means the ministry, SLBFE and the divisional secretariat. That one also in the new policy. I think we can, some level, we can minimize those trafficking and sub-agents involvement in those foreign employment and trafficking nexus. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Padmini. I think we have actually listened to Padmini and she has explained the updated national policy on migrations. So there are also the important point what she focused is that joint actions. And we have to understand it is not always the state responsibility, that all of us have to get together and to work towards eradicating human trafficking and irregular migration. So she made a point that is very good because there is a misunderstanding. We cannot call it illegal migrations because migrants are not really committing any crimes. So we just want to use the term because they are employing irregular ways to move from Sri Lanka to abroad. Thank you, Padmini. Now I move to Mr. Paul Hudson. So now you are here from the representing Canadian Embassy, and you are also one of the officer from RCMP, so you have experience in law enforcement in Canada, so you can even exchange that with some of the best practices from Canada. So first, my question is, Mr. Paul, according to you, what is the current trend in Sri Lanka in human trafficking and human smuggling, particularly with the economic crisis in Sri Lanka?
Hello. Hello, Aibawan. Wanakam. Thank you very much for inviting me to come and speak to this audience today. It is my first time in Sri Lanka speaking to an audience. So everyone understands, I am the RCMP's Foreign Liaison Officer. I'm stationed in Bangkok, Thailand. But my area of responsibility is specific to human smuggling and human trafficking in this region, which includes Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, India, Philippines, throughout the region. So although I come here often, human trafficking and human smuggling impacts the region, not just Sri Lankans, but many people traveling throughout the regions. It's being maximized by organized crime groups, syndicates, people looking to take advantage and exploit people from many different countries, but it includes Sri Lanka. Anytime that there is an economic crisis in a particular region, there will be those that want to take advantage of its citizens. We have to align our laws in Canada, our rules and our regulations, our sovereignty, with the movement of people coming from the region. As a police officer, our number one goal is public safety, human safety and dignity for all. So with respect to human trafficking, we work with our international partners in the region to monitor the different organized crime groups, syndicates that are taking advantage of these citizens here. Last year I came into this region and it was very evident quite quickly that various organizations in Sri Lanka, in Thailand, Malaysia, were offering jobs online. And there was a vast amount of people that were looking for hope, looking for a better life. And were not doing their due diligence to determine the veracity of the job application. They would go online and start communicating with people. Sometimes their own families didn't know they were communicating with these people in foreign countries, promising them jobs, promising them easy travel, quick visas, and lots of money. What we realize when people are desperate need or want or see no future, they will often take those opportunities, putting themselves at risk. The lack of communication about what their intention was something that we focused on. Because once Sri Lankans traveled to a third country and became victims of trafficking, very few people at home here in Sri Lanka or within their families knew exactly where they were. They were often moved to third countries illegally, stuck in third countries, being threatened by these syndicates about their current situation, and then being forced to work in various different areas, whether it's the sex trade, online scams. I spoke directly to a number of Sri Lankans that were stuck either in Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos, and listened to their stories. Listened to how long they were in these locations, enslaved, could not get out, and the challenges that we all face in getting them back. Once trafficked, people are often re-victimized because of where they're at. The country they're at will charge them, detain them for being in their country illegally. And then we have to work with our international partners to try to bring them back. We can't do this alone, but with respect to human trafficking, what we are seeing is Sri Lankans leaving here, going to Thailand, India, Malaysia, as a second country, as a transit country, and then being transferred into Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos, into the Golden Triangle. So we were working with our international partners with respect to that. With respect to human smuggling as it relates to Canada, I look at it from a law enforcement perspective, as I am law enforcement, and I have to uphold the law in Canada. So, illegal migration into Canada is a crime. People trying to move from Sri Lanka to Canada, there are many ways of doing it lawfully, safely, and at a lot less cost than using human smugglers. This last November, we almost had over 300 Sri Lankans die at sea trying to get to Canada. It is all of our responsibility to try to make sure that migration is safe, to make sure that there's opportunities and avenues that people can come to Canada lawfully and safely, with dignity, respect, and not be taken advantage of. So with respect to Canada, we are seeing migration patterns leaving Sri Lanka, leaving Colombo, going to Dubai, then to Africa, to South America, up the US border, and into Canada. We are seeing from Colombo to Italy, to European countries, sometimes to get their PR status, to continue on to other countries like France, Canada, UK. With respect to maritime, leaving Sri Lanka, transiting through Thailand, Malaysia, India, to get to Laos and Myanmar, to get onto a vessel and to try to travel to Canada. My job in this region is to raise awareness with partners. Raise awareness of the challenges and the risks of doing this. Raise the awareness that Canada wants migrants, but we wanted them to come lawfully. And so we've opened up the numbers that we will accept lawfully. We are working with our partners here in Sri Lanka. We have listened to returnees of these ventures and listened to their stories of why they're trying to leave. So we are working with our Sri Lankan partners here to bring capacity building, to try to increase the ability of investigative strategies on how to deal with victims, witnesses, and suspects in accordance with international law and the Geneva Convention. These are the trends that we're seeing right now.
Thank you, Paul, for your comprehensive, explanation regarding various aspects. Actually, Paul has mentioned this is a global crime and it is committed by organized criminal groups and, people leaving Sri Lanka to Canada. Human smuggling is the one important point which he made was that online scams, right? So we have to be aware of now these days, it's very quite often it's happening. So when Paul was referring to people coming to Canada illegally, so I would like to recall two incidents which I think some of you all know that after war ended in Sri Lanka in 2009 and 10, two boats have taken around 536 Sri Lankan two boats. One is 493 and the MV Sunsea, and the other one is around 30 taken to British Columbia, Canada. So it was in the sea, it was for 3 months. It's according to, as he mentioned, it is a crime under the Immigrants and Refugee Protection Act, Canada. And also he mentioned about the experience he shared in the region as a whole, not only in Sri Lanka, and also some of the challenges that law enforcement agencies face when in identification and prosecution. Thank you, Paul. Now let's move to the other panelist, Mr. Gautaman. He is here as a civil society representative. Now we all know civil society has a major role, in addressing the issue related to trafficking. So, as a CSO representative, Mr. Gautam, I would like to know in what ways, in principle, in what are ways in which CSOs plays a role for two things. One is eradicating human trafficking as a whole, and the second important point which we everybody accept is the protection of the victims of human trafficking. So with respect to these two things, what is the role of CSO in general, and I mean globally, you can even would have experience in globally how CSO works towards these goals, and also particularly in Sri Lanka, the role of CSO. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thanks for the organizers for the opportunity to kind of speak on this very important area. We need to get one thing fairly straight, right, which is the principal responsibility for combating these lies with the state. So there is the government, and then there are the law enforcement agencies, and they hold the principal primary accountability, to ensure that, this doesn't happen. But it is also very important to realize that the civil society on this issue, as in some of the other issues where we see the civil society at loggerheads with the government, right? We are kind of, trying to challenge or pressure the government. Whereas on this issue, I think the government and the civil society are more or less on the same page. So we are working with vast numbers of people on the ground. Representatives of about 120 CSOs are here, and each one, you can just imagine, their reach, right? 120 CSOs working in, each one of them working in several villages, and that just goes on to show, the scale at which the CSOs are operating or, reaching out. And given the current context in the country, and given that our economic recovery is predicated on how we get this protection of our migrant workers well, and ensuring, how this trafficking is addressed, then becomes, not only the responsibility principally of the government, but also how it can partner with, the other actors. First, let me kind of, elaborate, this role in a few more specific ways. First is, let's talk about awareness, right? So with the large network of civil society organization reaching widely and, and deeply, intensely into the communities, our ability to take the necessary messages are incredibly high. If actually if you open up the baseline survey which was done by the organization, one of the findings there is of the total sample, approximately half of them had got to know about trafficking, the law, the challenges, the dangers, got to know of it principally from civil society organizations. So in terms of awareness raising on a whole range of issues which are related, the people in the country are getting to know it from the civil society. So we are a partner in taking the message across and working with kind of, the government interlocutors as well. The second aspect which I want to stress is the need or, aspect of services, touching not only on, the support for victims who are affected, but also generally the services, the government has certain services which are available. The government has certain mechanisms, institutions, which are in place to do certain things. So the ability to coordinate becomes much more important. Now we saw in the policy, the migration policy, and so it is in the National Action Plan, National Anti-Trafficking Action Plan, that you see that a productive relationship between the state and the civil society actors, not only at the national level, but at the more micro levels, at the district level, at the divisional level, becomes necessary if you are to combat that. Now, having migrant worker societies, mobilizing the migrant worker societies, ensuring that they know what they are supposed to be doing, linking them up with the local divisional secretariat's office, getting the foreign employment development officer engaged and involved, and getting the messages across to them, the complaints across to them, and then trying to ensure that these forums work and function in the middle of enormous amount of responsibilities that the state officials have. How do you try to kind of complement that and ensure that these forums work? So there is a lot of support that civil society brings to the table in order to provide this complementarity, or provide this support. And a related corollary or related aspect in the coordination is coordination of victim services. It is not always the case that the state has all the resources, particularly in the current times. So it becomes necessary that when victims or when someone has to be accompanied, then there is a vast group of a support network which the civil society brings in order to help and assist them. So while the foreign employment development officer or the divisional secretary or someone could take the lead, you need these kind of services, something as simple and basic as transport and the others which needs to be available. Now, there are a couple of things which I don't want to touch too much on the prosecution, because that is not a thing that the civil society is mandated to do. All we can do is support the victim as the victim and the next of kin of the victim go through this very arduous process. And as he said, the re-victimization happens not only in the destination country, but the way the law enforcement looks at the victims here also leads, in some instances, in they needing support from civil society to navigate this, the legal process. So not on prosecution, but there are a couple of other aspects which I think, organization like SAFE and its partners and its civil society groups can bring in, is that to ensure that there is some pressure on the government, to hold the government to account. So the function or primary role of the civil society is to hold the duty bearers to account. And in that sense, there are a few areas. And as Ms. Padmini also pointed out, right? So we have the law reforms, the SLFB Act. So there are certain aspects of it which, if it is opened out for much broader consultation with the communities, with the people, then it might, relate, or it might come up with something new. The SLFB Act, if you look at it, what we are having currently is the agencies having an oversized role in regulating themselves, right? So the people who are in the board of SLFB, or the one who, so that is a very strange kind of, situation. And if that part is kind of, more opened up, and there is some equal kind of, role and voice for the others, then you will probably have a better way of, regulating this process. So what we should the role, as you say, the civil society's role in addition, supporting, but also, bringing kind of, these kind of inputs for during policy change. Engage us. We have very constructive, ways in which we could, improve. And not only that level, when you have the policy, you have the action plan, the next question is, how does that translate into implementation? So in terms of monitoring, drawing attention, and in terms of monitoring these processes, given the vast ground level, grassroots level network that the civil society has, we are much better placed to be able to give the feedback. Close the loop and say, okay, to the Foreign Employment Bureau, to the, to various other bodies, we are able to kind of, bring. So that is also an important role that we play. And in a very small way, but in a growing manner, the civil society also seems to now kind of, have the potential to link up with other civil society organizations in the destination countries. So right now it is at a very smaller level. I don't think we are using that to the using the potential as much. But I believe that organization, or the efforts that these people are doing could really link up and have an equally strong network in the destination countries, so that we don't have to kind of run around figuring out where these people are being kept. And we are getting calls, they are giving us locations, but reaching out to the embassies and and the others, they can go certain distances, but they couldn't go the other distance. So can we complement that work by also having a network in destination country of civil society organizations? So that's also an area we could fruitfully engage in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gautaman. I think we understood the role of civil society in eradicating human trafficking. The most important points that were made by Mr. Gautaman is that state and the CSO have equal responsibility, fight against human trafficking. And the other point which he made was that CSO, in addition to awareness creations and other smaller way helping the victims, giving pressure to the government to change or amend the policies and laws which are very important. And also he has mentioned the third point, which is very interesting, that if the CSO can work with the CSOs in destinations, I think that would be a great thing that we can address a lot of issues. I would like to also emphasize one point, the role of CSO. According to the Human Trafficking Protocol, Article 6.2, particularly legally emphasizing the role of CSO, because as Gautaman pointed out, the state has lack of resources. So therefore we have to work with CSO. So the CSO actually, under the trafficking protocol, it requires the states to work with CSOs to particularly giving protection to rights of victim. Thank you, Mr. Gautaman, to enlightening us on the role of civil society. Now I'll again, for the second round of questions. Now, Padmini, you have mentioned that Sri Lanka is in the process of, now we are updating the policy, because it's really necessary when the changing environment, should be taken into account. Now, my second question for you too is that now we have to have policies and laws in line with sustainable development goals of United Nations, right? So particularly now I would like to ask the present or the updated migration policy, to what extent it actually in line with sustainable development goals, particular goals that are no poverty, zero hunger, decent work and economic empowerment and gender equality. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, the reason for the update in this policy is also the SDGs, because we want to be in line with the SDGs, and one special one, the Global Compact. That means 10.7 SDG is the basic thing to our policy. Then that is why then all over the policy, SDG indicators then we have to achieve. Especially the gender, not only the gender sensitive, sensitivity is also not enough. Gender responsive services we have to do. Then our policy, the second core area is the welfare and well-being of the migrant workers and their family members. The gender responsive responsive services, how can we deliver? Then that one is the special area under the updated policy. And yes.
Sorry for the interruption. Can you just give a little more explanation of this gender responsive thing for the audience?
Yes, because sometimes, especially the migration, the gender, but not only the men and women, then other genders also now we have to take into account. Then their experiences in migration are different. And they are sometimes the aspirations are different. Then we want to ensure the right person, the right services, we have to give to them. Then the target group we have to decide, especially by the surveys or the special researchers, we have to identify their aspirations and what they expect from the migration. Then the services, the SLBF doing lot of services, welfare services, not only the migrant worker, for their family members also, because we have ratified 1990 UN Convention. Then we have to think about the families also. Then especially women and other genders also, there are special activities we are going to give to them. And the referral services also. That is very important, especially for the trafficking victims and the survivors. Those are the things we have included in the core area 2 in our updated policy.
Thank you very much, Padmini. I think we are in line with SDGs. We are updating the current national policy on migration. Now, Mr. Paul, the second question, I just want to know, the audience wants to know, because as a destination country in general, what are the activities that you are doing in Sri Lanka, to address human trafficking in terms of, because I emphasize here, because according to United Nations Convention Against Transnational Crime and the Trafficking and Human Smuggling Protocol, the international cooperation is very important. Sri Lanka is a developing country, as Gautaman pointed out, we have lack of resources and we are far behind the technological advancement and all. So in terms of those aspects, as a destination country, what are the activities that currently you are doing in Sri Lanka?
From a law enforcement perspective, the best way that we have found to respect and protect victims of crime is to hold those who victimize us accountable. The way that we do that is by increasing our presence in the region, increasing our intelligence sharing capacity, increasing the investigative capacity. When we talk about increasing the investigative capacity of law enforcement, what we're talking about is being able to hold people accountable who commit the human trafficking, who commit these crimes against our citizens. But when you're talking about inter-countries, multiple countries, multiple different laws and regulations, it takes a whole group of regional partners to do that. So what we've done is we've partnered up with some of our regional partners. I specifically have partnered up with Australia and New Zealand, examined what's happening in this region, and we're increasing our capacity with training about investigative strategies, about interviewing techniques, about investigative techniques. If we want to hold people accountable, victims need to trust us. Law enforcement can't be scary, it can't be unknown, and it needs to be trusted. Victims need to feel that what they say is believed, that the information that they're providing is taken appropriately, recorded appropriately, respected, and acted upon. So with respect to J-Select in Indonesia, it's our police investigative training center. We are putting on more investigative training there and inviting police, intelligence, immigration from around the region to come and take that type of training. I've come to Sri Lanka and met a number of different departments here, and I've extended Canada's willingness to bring those types of training to the different departments here in Sri Lanka. We want to increase the investigative abilities so that when a victim is returned, and provides a statement, if they provide a statement, they'll only provide a statement if they trust that something will happen and that their stories are listened to and respected, that not only is that statement recorded, but it's acted upon. So now we have to work with our regional partners to determine the best ways of sharing that information. So when we have criminals, not just in Sri Lanka, but in multiple different countries, how do we share that information? How do we use that information in criminal prosecutions so that we can shut down these syndicates, the people that are victimizing our citizens? But first of all, I just want to say thank you for the work you're doing. You are meeting those victims face to face and you're hearing those stories. We need to hear those stories. We need to understand what the issues are so that we can better prepare ourselves and our partners on addressing it from a law enforcement perspective. That's what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. The most important actually points that he made is that the exchange of information and training related to investigations are really important for proper law enforcement, because as he pointed out, these crimes are committed not by individuals, committed by transnational organized crime groups. These groups are present in various parts of the world. So exchange and coordinated responses among the law enforcement agencies are very important to eradicate the crime and also protect the victims. Thank you, Mr. Paul. And Mr. Gautam, now you have mentioned about the role of civil society, creating awareness and, advocacy and things like that. Now, I want to ask a question, particularly because now we know we have to work, whether it's a government institutions or NGOs or CSO, whatever, we have to work within, limited, resources. Maybe we might face some challenges. So as civil societies, what are the challenges particularly you face when you do your activities relating to human trafficking in Sri Lanka?
Let me kind of, try to respond to that question, also referring to the previous, the role, right? So that makes it a little easier and also maybe the flow would be better. I think as someone who is working with the civil society, not for a long time on this issue, right? On this issue, our engagement has been not as long as some of the other groups are. One of the things that I see, one of the challenges is the general approach. When I say the general approach, there is a desire to work with the government. Okay, for development partners, there is a desire to work with the government and to ensure that the civil society engagement is channeled in that process. What we kind of, over a longer period of time, when we started engaging and, when we started interacting, what we saw was that we need to take a slight shift in the approach, whereby we need to recognize the civil society as a sector in itself. So it is not our role to be mediating the relationship of Sri Lankan civil society with the Sri Lankan government. The Sri Lankan civil society should deal with Sri Lankan government. There is no mediation or, we shouldn't kind of, be entering in that political space. So once you have that realization, then what we as supporters or donors, what we are trying to do is not mediating or not coordinating. We are strengthening the civil society groups so that they engage with the Sri Lankan government. They engage, and the government directly deals with the civil society. Because otherwise this mediation or, being in between tends to depoliticize the issue. It is an issue of accountability of the government to its citizens. So in that accountability relationship, I think those citizens, mobilized citizens, should engage with the state and hold them accountable in a number of aspects. Whereas we or our donor agencies coming and trying to regulate, so that is a very crucial approach issue which I see as a challenge. Now, having said that, now let's go into much more the detail. The awareness raising, I think on that aspect the challenges are less. It's resources, and once there are good ICE materials, and the government has certain messages to be sent, there is very good coordination, and and then it's a matter of sending out and a receptive government at every level on sharing of information is seen. And that is one reason why the civil society groups are also very able to take the messages to the people. Okay. There is an overarching government approval, there is an overarching government kind of key messages, and now it's a matter of, and they are also leading the way, and so the civil society, in order to complement it, makes life much easier. There is no extra permission, no extra approval, it's a agreed upon message, now let's take it. That's the reason why 50% of awareness raising in the country on this issue, according to the study, is through the CSO. So there we don't seem to have a problem. Where we have an issue is I just want to pick on what Ms. Padmini said. In terms of referral systems and coordination, there we do have an issue. And the reason why we have an issue is not because of lack of willingness. Everyone agrees that we have to work together. But it is translating that willingness into structures and processes. So ideally, we would like to see at the district level, divisional secretary with the FEDOs taking responsibility for those forums. Now the public administration ministry has to empower or has to give clear instructions to the divisional secretary. Not the women's affairs ministry, not anyone, not the labor ministry, not anyone else, but the public administration ministry, giving clear instructions, putting it in their job descriptions, holding those accountable, and having them do that would then make this coordination forums and the referral mechanisms work better. It's already working, but it will work better if the mandate is given by Ministry of Public Administration. So that is a very crucial challenge that we have, because now it is personality dependent, at various places. We want it much more institutionalized so that the civil society has a more structured role at the ground level. So that is one other. And the general lack of service providers is a big challenge. For referrals, lack of service providers, for reintegration and for the others, that always, continues to be a challenge. And, that's a resource issue on government side as well as on our side. So that's an issue. The other one is, as I said, the SLFBE and the structure, the regulatory mechanism. From the civil society perspective, we strongly believe that there must be better representation of the civil society, better representation of people who are victimized or, people in those forums. So without that accountability or, at the apex level, it's going to be very difficult when it is regulated by the very same people or, predominantly by the people who are also subject to, subjects of this regulation. So there needs to be, some. So if that balance, if there is greater balance in that regulatory body, with more civil society and the victims also represented, I think we will get more traction than what we have now. And finally, in terms of the overseas protection, right? And there again, the limitation is clear lines of the ability to communicate easily with our embassies. There are labor officers, there are legal officers, but I believe, there must be more resources, more personnel, particularly in Gulf countries, where a majority of our workers are going. How do you ensure that there is better communication between the civil society groups and victims and individuals and officials in our various the embassies and high commissions, so that we are able to interact better. So there is a challenge. If something happens in the in some certain countries, our ability to activate the government's response mechanism, there is a time lag. and and getting them and also in some instances the ability to, at least for humanitarian reasons, some ability to kind of bring them back soon, or give them some protection, because the SOS as we are hearing, which our civil society groups here, desperate kind of calls, numerous. I'm sure the Foreign Employment Bureau is also getting 10 times more. Now we need to get this system better so that we are able to better deal with this humanitarian situation. And the numbers recently, the Oman, the Laos, is enormous. So are we kind of having that scale of response? Our scale of migration kind of in the last year has picked up. Are we responding? Is our embassies being resourced well enough in order to respond in scale to the scale at which our problems have increased? So once these to me seem to be the bigger kind of challenges in civil society groups which are working with the communities, trying to kind of get some solutions.
Thank you, Gautaman. Actually, Gautaman has mentioned that some of the challenges that civil society face, and also he has highlighted the lack of resources on the government part. The final, the important point that he raised is that bringing victims back to Sri Lanka, and that's the most important aspect when it comes to challenges. And we now come to the final question. Mr. Padmini, now you have experience in the working in with all the government institutions and implementing the various policies. Now I would like to finally ask you, now we are updating the policy, so can you just make some kind of recommendations or like insights, how best, what are the things actually we need to focus to properly implement the updated migration policy in Sri Lanka?
I think that's the very good question, because implementation is the issue. And updated policy, we have tried in several ways. The one thing is the monitoring mechanism. The monitoring mechanism in 3 layers, because National Advisory Committee is already there. Then that means all the stakeholders, not only the government, the trade union, civil society, private sector, all stakeholders are in the National Advisory Committee. And the second level we propose in this time, the provincial level. Because provincial level also, we have our provincial head is here, the North Central, because we all get together and work now. Because the provincial level, all the provincial ministries, departments, and SLBFE also has the provincial officers. Then that committee consists of all those stakeholders. The third layer is the divisional wise. The divisional wise, all the divisional level government officials, not only the Labour Ministry, the Women's Affairs Ministry, then the other key ministries also, they get together. They have to collect all the information from bottom side. That means at the GN level, information also they have to gather, and up to the district level, then the divisional level, then all the information goes to the National Advisory Committee. That one, the quarterly we have to establish, and the meetings we have to hold. That is the way in all 2 sectors, the provincial, 3 sectors, provincial, divisional and the national level, civil societies are there. And the trade unions also there. Because as Gautam said, we believe civil societies are the main machinery to reach our target group. Because our government officials, there are so many 30 or 35 officials in the divisional secretariat, but they have separate duties. But the target group, through the civil society, we can reach. That's why we have to give more opportunities and recognition to the civil societies to work with our government officials at the divisional level. And other one thing, as Gautam said about the diplomatic missions issue, because now we have, I think earlier we have 16 labor welfare officers at the main destination countries. In the future also we are going to increase into the new destination, the Romania and Japan also. The issue is not only the human resources, sometimes the communication is the issue. Now I think SLBF is now on the way to digitalize all the end-to-end process of migration. Then it is easy to know all the details of the migrant worker depart from Sri Lanka and after coming back. That is one way we want to expedite those issues with complaint management and grievance handling, those things. Because always we can't increase the staff of the embassies, because that's the, under the Vienna Convention, they have some limitation. I think foreign ministry officials are here. We can't give so many officers to the embassies, I think. There are some limits. That's why. But anyway, other ways we can expedite those work. Though sometimes the delays are mostly on some, if there are any legal issues, then they have to, through their Ministry of Manpower or Labor Ministry or the Justice sector, they have to solve their problem. That's why some delays, especially the death cases, those are the delays. That's why. Otherwise, I think our officers and the foreign ministry officials do their best to do for their duty to Sri Lankan nationals. Thank you.
Thank you, Padmini. The important thing that what we learn from Padmini's, explanation is that the lack of implementations. I think lack of implementations, everybody, as Gautam also pointed out, everybody is willing to work towards, the common goal. But we have some issues in relation to implementing the policies and laws in Sri Lanka. Not only in Sri Lanka, even everywhere there are problems. Even it's like we say, as a developing country, we have problem. I think Paul would agree with me, even as a destination, even Canada, everywhere we have some issues. So we hope for the best. And the final question to Paul is that, so you have worked with all the regional partners in the region. And Paul, would you like to give kind of specific recommendations or specific suggestions based on your experience in the region to Sri Lankan state and the civil society to how best and what are the actions that more we need to take, address the human trafficking, particularly because the today's main theme is protection of the victims of human trafficking.
I think if there was one main message I would impart, and that would be international cooperation. We can't do it by ourselves. No individual organization, department, government can address this alone. Organized crime syndicates, organized human smuggling groups, they don't follow the rules, and they work internationally. If we want to address these issues, we need to tear down the barriers that separate us as people, as our society, as a region. I was asked to come to this region and look at these issues, and it was very evident that Canada cannot address these issues by themselves. Australia cannot do it by themselves. We all have to do it. Part of my role is to come to things like this and listen and hear from you what are the issues you're facing. And I can take it back to my government and work with the United States and Australia and you to try to come up with a plan globally. I meet with people just like you in different countries, and I'm trying to encourage Sri Lankan law enforcement, immigration, various different government groups, to reach out and network with the regional partners, their counterparts, and share information, but don't just share information. Develop a short, medium, and long-term goal and start implementing it. Make it so that when none of us are here, it doesn't matter who's sitting in your chair. That standard operating procedure will be mandatory, an understanding that will just carry on past us. These issues won't go away tomorrow. So whatever we develop today has to be in coordination and collaboration with each other, our international partners, and stand the test of time. That would be my message.
Thank you, Paul. Coordination and cooperation is the most important thing when it comes to eradicating transnational crimes. That's the message we got from Paul. Thank you. And finally, from Gautam. Now, Mr. Gautam, you have mentioned a lot of challenges and all. So I would like to just ask you to give a message to the audience, represents CSO, NGOs, various government institutions, and researchers and academics like us. So as a CSO representative, what is the message that you can give on the remarkable day in terms of addressing human trafficking in Sri Lanka?
I think the main message is to realize that the scale of the problem is huge. I do not think that we are fully grappling with all its ramifications. We do look at the more immediate legalistic preventive or prosecution aspect, and we do look at that. And the humanitarian aspect of it hits us very hard when people die or when people are really stranded. So those are the ones which seem to be making the headlines. But the trafficking and the trafficking issue and the irregular migration issue and its impact on families, as one of the government agents, the Anuradhapura government agent, if I'm not mistaken, mentioned, then has a huge amount of psychosocial and various other ramifications at the family level. So we need to kind of look at it as a huge, very complex, multifaceted issue, and it is ballooning, it is increasing. We need to recognize that. And as a nation, as a country, we need to prioritize that, particularly because a lot of women and a lot of children who are being left behind because the women working, are all kind of, involved in. So we need to kind of, grapple with this as a much complex, larger issue than what we are now dealing with. The second aspect which I want to also say, and again that was also stressed in one of the video messages, is the importance that we should actually be placing to trafficking in internal or within the country. Tourism is increasing, and not only because of tourism, but there are various other drivers. Where there are various other aspects. The correlation between that and internal trafficking can be high or will be high. And while we are tracking these, we need to then also be very, very mindful of those aspects. But the level of attention that is given to that seems to be a little less. So I want on this day of anti-trafficking for us to focus on the complexity, not only on the headlines, but the complexity and individual impact it is having on individual families, that complexity, A, and B, to also draw attention to the challenges of trafficking within the country. And if we can get that sorted, that will be good. But because it's the final one, I really want to also stress, this is an issue where the civil society and the government can and have to work together. And each one of us have our limitations, but that there isn't anything which is stopping us, from. We need to have a enabling space at the local levels, and we need to be able to coordinate well and work on this. There is no other kind of alternative.
Thank you, Gautam. I think we all got Gautam's message, and we have to acknowledge human trafficking is not a minor issue. It's a huge problem. There are a lot of complications, and we need to address all those things. So with that, this discussion comes to an end. I would like to end this session with giving some concluding remarks after listening to three distinguished panelists, that we all, Sri Lanka is a party to the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Crime and a party to Human Trafficking Protocol. We have laws and policies. All the government officers are given mandate to work towards eradicating this transnational crime and protect the rights of the victims. And we got certain ideas from, as a law enforcement officer, Mr. Paul has, share his experiences, how law enforcement is very important. So the lack of awareness among law enforcement also one of the issue that we found through our, discussion and research. So we need to focus that awareness creation from lower bottom level to, top level, that has to be there. And we need to, develop mechanisms to implement the current laws and policies. And also we need to keep in mind that, as Gautam pointed out, the human trafficking is not only affecting the victim per se. Actually, it is a question of national security, because the transnational criminal groups are, committing all sort of transnational crime, drug trafficking, organ trafficking, human trafficking. Some of the organizations are connected to terrorist organizations. So the national security and the diplomatic relations among the countries, all these things are very important. So keep these all things in mind. Let's fight against human trafficking. With this remark, I would like to end this panel discussion. And once again, I would like to thank all the panelists and the SAFE Foundations for organizing a kind of very insightful and, educative panel session. I hope that everybody who is present here would benefit from the discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please put your hands once again, hands together for the RCMP Liaison Officer, Mr. Paul Haston. Thank you very much. Mr. Gauthamam Balachandran and Ms. Padmini Ratnayaka, and of course our wonderful moderator, Dr. Yashodhara Kataragamathambi. Thank you so much. Thank you.
සංවර්ධන හවුල්කරුවන් ලෙස ඔබගේ කැපවීම සහ සහයෝගය ශ්‍රී ලංකාව තුළ මිනිස් ජාවාරමට එරෙහිව සටන් කිරීමට සහ ආරක්ෂිත සංක්‍රමණය ප්‍රවර්ධනය කිරීමට ගන්නා ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ශක්තිමත් කිරීමට මහඟු දායකත්වයක් ලබා දී ඇති බව සිහි කිරීමට අපි කැමැතියි. ඔබගේ ප්‍රවීණත්වය සහ කැපවීම ධනාත්මක වෙනසක් සඳහා මඟ පෑදුවාට නොඅනුමානයි.
කරන කිසිදා මගින් අතර නොයන මනු සංකමින් හදම පිරුණ අපි ඔබලගෙන්ම නිරතුරු වැදෙන SAFE Foundation